No, shut it off. The Parsec audio. It's still going through your speakers. Hey, welcome to the Nick and Matt Show. I'm pretty sure we're live, but I think our intro music wasn't there. We'll have to figure that one out. And there you go.
Hey.
Intern Ben getting all the screen time today. Welcome to the show, episode 137. We are live without Nick, if you couldn't tell. Things are a little funky here on audio side. I don't know what that was about. I think...
I turned off. I think the speaker was on.
The speaker might have been on, but I still couldn't hear it over here.
It was the Parsec too. I had to turn it off.
Okay, so I'm hoping I can hear it here, like when we do this cool music. Let me try. Oh,
all right, cool.
It's working. You can hear that, Evan?
Yeah,
I can hear it loud and clear. We're good.
All right. Sorry for the casual start here, everybody. But episode 137. This episode's presented by Cosmic Disc Golf. Do you want to get paid to run a tournament?
Yes,
I do. I just don't frankly have the time right now. But if I was running a tournament, I'd do it through Cosmic. They're doing a lot of great things. Check them out, cosmicdg.com, at Instagram at Cosmic Disc Golf. So, Evan, it was what the Pro Tour considers an off week, but all these players that are traveling around on tour decided to find places to go. So what events are we going to talk about today? Let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, there's a few of them. I think the most notable one is going to be Santa Cruz Masters Cup. Long-time national tour event, has been on the Pro Tour, was a silver event last year. Unfortunately, not on the schedule this year, but many notable pros played in it. We'll talk to Gannon Buhr later, but a handful. We'll cover that, I think, last out of these events, not last of the show, just last of this intro. There was also the 303 Open in Colorado. That course that I was at is one of the ones I played a lot when I was out in school there. Notable and cool to see that on not on tour. It's not on tour. To see that played by people who are sometimes on tour. We also had the first European Pro Tour event across the pond over in Denmark. And then, of course, a few other notable events. Let's start with the Japan National Championship. Manabu Kajiyama takes that down. He won. Oh, I had it up. I don't have any strokes yet.
Do you happen to have his rating? Do you happen to have his rating? I know we talked about ratings last week.
Yeah, I didn't do the math for it. He had something in the 1030s, something in the 1040s, and something in the 1050s.
I mean, as a player, right? What's his rating?
He was 1051, I believe.
So
he averaged probably like 1040 something.
The reason I asked his rating is because I was making cases for the rating system, but I think demographic regionally, like by country, it could be different. It is what it is, but different pool of players.
We'll have to wait a couple weeks to hit that subject again. I think we used it enough last week.
Let me okay, no, we did, but I'm going to cut you off because it worked out perfect today. If I tell somebody how my son shot at a tournament this week, right? I'm like, hey, he shot even. They're like, oh, but you know what I can do? Tell my son, and I did. This was the best rated round you've ever shot in your life. And that's an achievement, right? So like if you just have stroke play, he's shot an under par plenty of times. When you shoot even at a course and it's technically the best skill he's done by a long shot, that's a cool thing to do, right? So
well, what did he shoot? Let us hear it.
Well, he shot it. Well, it was unofficially a 939 for him at 13. It's pretty good. So, and he said he had 5 putts splash out. So that would have been a really hot round. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Could have been 980 real quick.
My 8-year-old shot an 844 rated. So this is where my point is. If I said, hey, my 8-year-old shot good this week, and everyone's like, oh, that's great, you have a nice 8-year-old. I go, my 8-year-old shot 844. I saw your face. People are able to take that in. Like, I know what that means. They can compare it to their game. That's what ratings are good for.
Unfortunately, I can compare 844 to my game. I wish it wasn't true, but yes, you are right that compares it. And he's 8 years old.
Moving on. So Manabu over there did great. What else are we talking about?
Yeah, let's cover the European Pro Tour first. This is the first event of their season over at the Copenhagen Open in Denmark. We had an Estonian sweep. Ooh, wrong. There we go. Here we go. For our live viewers, you'll see this switching screens, but we're getting there. We saw an Estonian sweep which did not include Kristen Tatar. She's taken an off week. She was not out at the European Pro Tour, but we had Mari Vilman. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm very notably not great at pronouncing these European names. He takes it down in a playoff. He is now ranked 92nd in the world, so cracking that top 100. He has not played a Disc Golf Pro Tour event in his career, but he did play USDGC last year and finished 59th. That was his only major of his career, including he has not played European Open or any other majors, which I thought was interesting enough. But he has taken down a European Pro Tour win. On the FPO side, we saw Kaidi Alsalu. Again, I probably got that wrong, but I think we can understand who that was. She won by 7 strokes. And for context, she is now ranked 49th in the world by the Statmando official ranking. She does have 3 tour events over in the U.S. She has 2 top 10s on the Disc Golf Pro Tour and finished 14th at U.S. Women's last year. Other notable names in that event: Silver Lott finished 6th, Jesse Nieminen finished 11th, and KJ Nybo, who's a little bit past his prime, did finish in 51st, but that's a notable name for people. And we also saw Heidi Lane. I think I got that right. That was the one that I pronounced way wrong last year. She finished 3rd. Silva Saarinen finished 5th. She had some great finishes over in the U.S. just a couple weeks ago on the Southeast Spring Swing. And we saw Rachel Turton finish 7th. She was the reigning champ. She is notably UK's best disc golfer, winning lots of events there. Overall, cool to see the European swing getting up. We'll have the Euro Tour coming up soon. We'll have the Disc Golf Pro Tour heading over there. Exciting times for the continent.
Yeah, I think we need the players of Europe to record their names, or at least go into their social media. You know how you can have it tell you how to pronounce a name? Like, just update that so media in the United States can get your name right. Because we want to do all respect to a name. It's somebody's identity. But yeah, I think hopefully you're appreciative people. We're trying to give you what's happening around the world at this point. Thanks to Statmando there, Evan, especially.
Yeah, well, we got Asia down, we got Europe down. Let's head to the U.S. We saw the 303 Open in Colorado. I mentioned that was on a course I've played a lot in college, but Aaron Gossage, Colorado native, although from the other part of the state, takes it down by 5 strokes over other Colorado native Joel Freeman. We also saw a few New Englanders play pretty well out there. We saw Harry Chase finish 8th and Paul Kranz finish 10th. That's very cool to see. I did not know they were making the trip, so congrats to them getting over there and getting a top 10 finish. On the women's side, we saw Natalie Ryan take it by a stroke over Emma Arp. Natalie had a 8-stroke comeback in the final round, shooting a fantastic round to get the victory. Emily Yale finished in 3rd. She's played a few Disc Golf Pro Tour events. She's notable to Statmando, doing some research with us. Very cool to see her get a great finish. 6 strokes clear of 4th place, with Deanne Carey playing that event as well. So there were a few tour names within that field, and cool to see. But I think that brings us to I'm going to say the biggest event of the weekend, Santa Cruz Masters Cup, unless you have anything to add.
No, I just wanted to say, you mentioned Paul Kranz and Harry Chase. Again, we bring them up, people. They're local to us. I play on a New England Team Challenge team with both of them, sponsored by Discmania. That's what the 303, I understand it to be open, is probably a large Discmania. It's in Colorado there.
Yeah, 303 is the area code for north of Denver. I don't know exactly where the line is, but like Boulder and Fort Collins, I believe, are all 303. I might have that wrong. I know Boulder is 303 at least. And
Sco Buffs.
Thanks, Ben. Sco Buffs indeed.
Every time I hear that, Sco Buffs, I always remember you throwing into the tree at college.
Ooh, oh boy. But yeah, there's a band called 303, which was like a pop rock, pop punk. I don't even know what variety it was. They were kind of popular in like my high school and middle school days, but also being off the area code.
And then you mentioned Natalie Ryan. There's a few relevant topics surrounding that. We know that there was a lawsuit filed, I believe, with some sort of what they would call restraining order of some sort to pause things for the OTB Open. Hopefully getting a spot for her in the event. We're going to have Jeff Spring on. He's coming on to talk about the acquisition of JOMEZ, and Jonathan Gomez will be on here in actually just about 14 minutes. So we're not going to do the whole interview on that, but I'm going to try to slide a question in there regarding that. And then I heard, and I think it's starting to circulate, there was some form of protest that actually showed up at this 303 event. I saw that there was some form of live coverage, even I want to say it was Rocky Mountain Women's Network, something like that on YouTube. And then they had somebody roving, if you will, streaming live at the event, protesting, I believe, as Natalie was teeing off. Now, no matter how you feel about this scenario, that seems a little bit uncivilized. Protesting's a thing. Like, it's a public area. The cops were called, all this. It kind of, I don't know. It is what it is at this point. There's a lawsuit filed. I'm sure that some things will have to get figured out there. But that's happening in our sport right now. Disc golf has not evaded that in any way compared to the rest of the world that's dealing with this as well. Again, whatever side you're on, we say it here at the Nick and Matt Show. Care about individuals. You can disagree. Do it in a caring way, however that is. And that's what I'll leave it. Going over to Santa Cruz Masters Cup. Take it away. I think I'm crossing my fingers. Barsby's coming on in about 45 minutes, but he took it down, right? I'm just spoiling it.
Barsby took it down. I mean, spoiling it for what? I'm just going to say it here in a second. Not like we have any cool highlights to show the people. But yeah, Greg Barsby takes it down in a playoff over Alden Harris. It was a wild final round. I don't know if the coverage is out. Central Coast did some coverage. I don't know if the final round coverage is out yet. It might be. People might have seen it. If not, I'm sure you'll see it soon. But watching live scores, it was all over the place. What do we see? James Proctor leading in the final round. Gannon Buhr was in the mix. We had Cole Riddell and Matt Bell, a bunch of names that you would recognize in this final round. Alden Harris looked like he might have had it. Greg Barsby catches him up, and they go to a playoff. And I saw one highlight of it, and Greg Barsby made a pretty typical deep circle 2 or further big hyzer putt around a tree, cashed it in to get the victory. Very cool to see him getting that win in his home state of California. I don't know if it's necessarily his home course, but at least a home area, although he did move to Texas recently, so maybe not his PDGA home state. We also saw Owen Scoggins take it down, who is from California, or at least lives there now. So I guess 2 home staters, however you look at it. She won by 3 strokes over Katrina Allen. We also saw Sai Ananda return to some events that we know, coming in third. Juliana Korver also getting a top 5 finish. Some other names on the Ampio side. Chandler Kramer finished 7th along with Gannon Buhr, who we mentioned. Cody Kirkland played this event. Jacob Curtis, Cupcake, we've had him on the show. He finished with a 12th place finish. It wasn't quite a tour field, but of course a very solid one where, an average fan probably knows a handful of names. But cool to see. I mean, De La Viega is a historic, iconic disc golf course. If not the most iconic, at least a top 3, top 5 iconic course. So it's always cool to see it return to big events and big names playing it.
Yeah, that event has nostalgia for a lot of people. And so you're going to continue to see players choosing to go there. And it still has that feel to it. Maybe not to the average viewer right now, because, I mean, Central Coast is doing great promoting their coverage. I think it's fantastic to watch an event in a, quote, off week. It's interesting, though. Like I said, Barsby took it down. You have a lot of great players there playing. James Proctor, I'm just going to mention it. He was in the lead, really with it in his control to win with about 3 or 4 holes left, 1-stroke lead, and then he double bogeyed, I think, with 3 holes left. And then it was not in his control at that point. So, but my point is to see Greg walk away with it after some of these top, I'd say, handful of top 10 players there. Good job to Greg. That's what De La does. It brings out some really cool playing. And I feel like Greg wins on these really cool courses. It's just, kind of is what it is.
I think the last time we saw him win was the Sula Open, a silver event over in Norway last year. He doesn't win a lot of these big notable events that we're paying a lot of attention to at this point in his career. So it is cool to see him take it down. Of course, he's always making a name for himself, and we'll always have the iconic 2018 Worlds win and more. But yeah, I agree. It's very cool to see him play. I also thought it was really cool that hearing like how or why Gannon Buhr made the trip out there, since he won the silver event last year, Masters Cup last year when it was a silver event. He wanted to defend his title. So I heard that he flew out to California, quick turnaround from Jonesboro, to play that and try to defend his title at a course. Even though it wasn't on the tour, he still wanted to play it. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, and you just mentioned Gannon again, and Gannon will also be a guest on our show tonight. So we've got Jeff Spring, Jonathan Gomez, Greg Barsby. I'm still crossing my fingers. He's never been on the show.
Please, Greg.
I have his text saying yes, but he's also extremely busy. So we're just squeezing him in for maybe 10 minutes. And then Gannon. Gannon is relevant right now for an interview. If you haven't seen, he just posted, I want to say within the hour or two, that he is now continuing through the remainder of the season with Prodigy. That's notable. People at a tournament I was just at recently were saying, oh, it's a bad relationship. This is over. And remember what we said when he texted me, what was it, 2 weeks ago? He said, I'm working out an agreement. We kind of speculated, and I was all over the board. I was like, I don't even know what it means anymore. But we did speculate, maybe he's staying. And we've been kind of projecting that the further we got in, that might be the case. So he will be on. It won't be for another hour at least, but he will be on, and we can ask him our questions. And I think that's the resolution. I said that would be best case for everybody. It'd be interesting to see if they both feel that way. I'm assuming they do. They came to an agreement. So,
Matt, we have to do it. We talked about it last time before we knew these details, what we thought the percentage were that he would stay through the season, whether he would or not stay through the season, and then would he stay with Prodigy after the season?
I don't think he will.
We've been all over the place.
But
I can barely remember.
I'm going to go all over
said.
the place on that one again.
But at least to get it on the record right now, he is staying through Prodigy for the rest of the season. What do you think going into next year? What is the percent chance he stays with Prodigy for 2024?
Zero.
We keep doing percent chances. Ben says 0, but that's impossible. Nothing is really 0 in life until it's happened, or not happened. Then you'd say, well, it was 0. But leading up to it, it's always a percentage. I feel like even Simon said, well, it wasn't about the money when he went to MVP, but I mean, he did say, well, how much money are we talking, kind of a thing. So there's always this percentage. It's going to matter what was offered to Gannon. It's going to matter how happy he is with any changes. If in some way, I feel like Prodigy would have to, it sounds weird, but court him or date him or be like, we are going to do all these things that you wanted and more. And he's going to have to believe it. He's going to have to believe it. That's I don't think it's vice versa. I don't think he's trying to stay with Prodigy.
I have a take. I think.
All right, let's hear it, Ben.
I'm here. Hello, I'm on the 3-up. It's an honor to not be in the little subsect, whatever, the thing that pops down. It's an honor to be on screen. Anyways, my take is that I know he didn't say the money doesn't matter, but I think he goes where the money is. If Prodigy offers the most money, I think he stays. I don't think he's loyal to Prodigy. I think he's going to go whoever gives him the most money or has the best opportunity. I don't think he would take a pay cut of any means to say. Maybe it feels like $5,000, but I think he's going because he can make a lot of money as an 18-year-old.
If the discs they're producing new today are good, then I agree. But if he's gonna have to scrap for the old disc that he says he likes to throw, and they're gonna pay him, and they're not gonna change any of their disc production, I don't know if he'd stay. I don't think he would. I don't think players want to stay where they're not happy with the product. But we'll see.
I mean, I don't think the discs have any worry. At least for his own playing game, I should be clear with that. I think that's where you're going with it. I don't think him worrying about getting new discs for his own game. I mean, we see that with lots of companies. Discmania just a couple years ago, or not even a year ago. it's hard to time frame all this, were not having any discs produced by themselves yet.
Yeah.
They were relying on all their pros just having the discs they have in their kind of network within each other, buying used discs for expensive prices, but it's worth it because they're pros. If Gannon feels that same way, I'm sure he can figure it out and talk with enough Prodigy players or Prodigy collectors where he'll get the disc that he wants. I don't think that's a worry. But in the lawsuit that when he originally left and what he claimed to be the reasons why, it was for, I think, selling discs as a promoter, disc sales for himself. He was worried that the specific quality would hurt that. So I do agree that he will factor in how well he thinks he can sell discs. If the Prodigy money is the exact same as another company, but the other company he thinks he can sell more discs, which gets him that bonus structure better, I think that's a valid way to go about it. I will say, to give my percentage, I think it's higher than 0% for sure. I agree with you, Matt, that nothing is 0% ever. It's not 0% that Paul Macbeth goes to Prodigy, but that's pretty close to 0. I would
What's
probably
your percentage
say
for that one? 1%. Half a percent.
I would say it's closer to 0 than 1%.
Yeah,
but it's not
half
0%.
Yeah.
But for Gannon Buhr, I think I'm going to go a little. I think I've been saying 20% that he stays with Prodigy for next year.
You said 20%?
High. I think before I said 20%.
Okay.
I'm going to go higher now. I think I'm going to bump it up. I think I'm going to bump it up to 35% that he stays with Prodigy, which is pretty high because that means 65% that he leaves and goes to any other brand. There's a few brands that seem more likely than others. So it's not that Prodigy's the most likely landing spot, but out of all the manufacturers, I think it's pretty high up there. If it's not 1, it's 2 or 3.
That's a tough over under.
The fact that they got this deal done for the rest of the year means that there's amicable terms now where they understand what each other wants. So there's something there. And it might not be perfectly mended relationship. It might be. We don't know. But there at least something is there that I think there's enough to work on for next year, and it is a possibility. 35% might be a little high, but I'm going to stick with it.
It's 0.
35's, like I said, that's a tough over under on that one because I feel like that's a good line. Yeah, I think I'm trying to feel that out any differently. I feel like it's tough. Like we said. The fact that they're amicable here, I feel like cooler heads, if you will, prevailed. And they kind of, like you said, came back down to like, where are we at with this? What do we both want? And that's what arbitration, that's what the idea of, right? Coming together, figuring it out. Let's have a mediator even. I'm sure they had someone involved to sit down and what are you both wanting? So that's where they're at. Anyways, we'll ask Gannon maybe some of these questions. And we'll see what he has to say about it. So again, Jeff Spring, Jonathan Gomez coming up here in about 5 minutes or so, 7 minutes. Top of the hour with Greg Barsby. Cross our fingers. And then shortly after that, Gannon Buhr. Great stuff. So with that being said, let's see. Where are we at here? We talked all the events. I mean, we're going to have Jeff and Jonathan talk about it a little bit. There's been multiple interviews out there. 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. I might have missed one. I sat and listened to all of them through because I wanted to hear what was being missed, what was being asked, what was being redundant, what was doubled up. So we didn't have to waste all of your time. There will be some doubling up. There's no way around that. Some of you probably haven't listened to those interviews. And we appreciate that you listen to us and trust us with these topics. So we're going to ask some topics here and some questions to both Jonathan and Jeff on this. My understanding, again, both of them should be here. What did you think about that? When you heard that announcement, let's just be a little transparent. You and I would have discussions that we thought this might be happening for months. That's not anything that I didn't hear Smashbox say. That's not anything I didn't hear Ultiworld say. That's not anything I didn't hear a lot of people kind of in the media group say. So to us, it wasn't a massive surprise. We didn't know when. We didn't know if it would be announced publicly. We didn't know a lot of the details associated with it. But when it happened, from my perspective, it was kind of like, well, here it was. We thought it was coming. We hadn't heard anything about the contract being renewed, which it was coming to the end of it. So there was a lot of things. We almost brought it up a few times as a topic on the show. And then I thought, well, we have the freedom to do that, but let's just wait and see how things unfold. So what did you think when you saw that, kind of your reaction? Again, with the insight that we kind of knew something was coming. Like, what are your like initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, initial thought was surprised. I mean, like surprised, not that it was just it was news. Like it's news, it's like, whoa, that's crazy. You almost can't believe it. And then you start to think about it and you have kind of all these different thoughts going on, good and bad and in between. And there's so many things to think about with it. I thought it was really interesting. It makes you think about the future and longevity of the sport. You think, hey, this is really awesome that one of, if not the most premier media brand in disc golf is getting a lot more stable. The more you hear about it, you don't know how much longer they could have gone. I mean, I'm sure they would have gone a lot longer, but there is those doubts that, like, you know, you never know what's going to happen. But then the other part is the Pro Tour buying up I don't want to say competitor because they had a partnership and they were working together, but another media entity, and competition breeds innovation. And so having it all under one umbrella, it could give you doubts about how much more it'll innovate. JOMEZ being one of the most innovative media companies, every year they're pushing the needle more and more. Whenever they hit big events, they go more and more and bigger and bigger. So when you hear this, the thought goes in your mind that you're worried that it feels like a sellout. It feels like they're not going to innovate more. And I didn't know where to go with that. That was initial. I thought both ways. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was bad. It's just, wow, this is crazy. Let's see what happens. And again, we'll talk to him and ask the questions and we'll hear about it more. But what I've heard from the other interviews is it all seems like really, really good news. It seems like something that's been in the works for a long time, a really stable way to kind of hand over the official ownership, hand over the business side of it. But the innovative side seems like it's still ready to grow. And I think Jonathan's excited to kind of
play more pickleball
back, not to play more pickleball, take a step back and get back to his innovative roots.
Sure. We're going to ask him some questions about that for sure.
Yeah. And having I'm going to say small business. I mean, they did have a lot of employees for disc golf and that was kind of surprising. I didn't know they had, pushing 20 employees full time. But they, in the grand scheme of things, that's a small business. You can have a lot of overhead. It can be a lot of tough, you can have the great minds who are the innovative ones pushing this small company forward, get caught up in all these other small things that you can have people who are professional and do it full time do that. So now that they're kind of merged with the Pro Tour is one of the ways their press release said it. I think it's all good things to make Jonathan and his team back to their, I'm going to say innovative roots more, because that's what they're so good at and have pushed the sport so far with how good the media has been and how much they've pushed professional disc golf and disc golf as a whole. So I think that rounds it out pretty well. Matt, what did you think?
Yeah. So if you go back a few years where the boom of disc golf started to happen, people were introduced to the sport largely through JOMEZ, and that goes back, 5 years, and it's very easy to access and incredible quality. And they gained a fan following. And Jonathan, we've interviewed him. You can go check out the full interview. We had the whole team here in studio where we interviewed Jonathan, Jerry, and why am I messing his name up right now? I apologize.
Is it Juan?
No. Well, Juan is the other 50% owner.
Okay.
But Follow Flight Mike. Thank you, Mike. In studio. And we talked about all these different types of things where they're like, it's so unique to be a media company that has fans. Like, does anybody be like, I am the fans of those producing CBS Sports? Like those guys, like, I love them. I'll pay them money, like, to keep doing what they're doing because they're doing so good. Like,
I don't know. When I go to a Red Sox game, I see more NESN jerseys than I see Red Sox jerseys.
Sure.
That's a joke. I understand completely with what you're saying. Yeah,
but sure.
It's crazy.
And so it's so unique. So when I saw the announcement, I was like, uh-oh, like, where's the pitchforks? Like, this is, JOMEZ has a serious following, fandom, like not cultish, but like a following that supports them with money every month just because they want to support them. They like what they're doing. They believe in it. And so I was like, where's the pitchforks? Because had you told me 3 years ago, because do you remember Steve Dodge trying to bring media in-house to Disc Golf Pro Tour? We can all agree or not agree, and I think even Steve would say himself, there was things that he had to learn as he went, and part of it was, how do we do this? Like at that point in time, it was like people were paying for companies to go and produce their tournaments, like paying them. And then the tournament started realizing what they had. And it was like, okay, well, actually, you can come for free. We'll kind of split it that way. Like, you produce for free, we give you the tournament for free. Eventually, the conversation just kept shifting and shifting. And I guess what I'm saying is, if back 3 years ago, anything like this had happened, I think you would have had upheaval. If people would have boycotted Disc Golf Network, they would have, and Disc Golf Pro Tour, they would have been like, it's over. Like, we are JOMEZ fans through and through, and that's all there is to it. Like, it's done. Being when it happened now, there's people who are skeptical because they had such a following, but it's way better than it would have been 3 years ago. Way better. And so with that being said, it looks like we're good to go there. I can see both of our guests in the green room. And so let's go ahead and bring them in. Ben, welcome to the show, everybody. I mean, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Jeff Spring and Jonathan Gomez, both in the media business in some level, right? I mean, it's incredible. I'm going to ask you a little bit about that, Jeff. But how are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Jonathan, you down in Texas? What's the weather like? Very hot for your Texas standards? Like, what are we talking?
No, yeah, I think it was 100 degrees today.
Come on.
It's a little early for that, but here we are.
I'm a safety professional, and I'll talk to guys from all over the country, and we tell them regularly, heat is determined by your acclimation. So, Jeff, from Vermont, you go down to Texas and it's 85. You're like, this is really hot. Texas boys are going, dude, this is 85. Like, this is like awesome. They come up to where we are and it's 40 degrees, Jeff, and they think we're dying. It's the end of the world. So we got a little different blood in the room tonight, but we're not here to talk about weather. You guys dropped something the morning after our show went live, and so we couldn't snag it. You've been on a few podcasts talking about how the Pro Tour acquired, as I think the wording that I saw in the announcement, JomezPro. So if that sounds correct to you, let's get into some questions. Does that sound correct?
Sounds correct.
Okay, good. We're trying to simplify it. People in the chat are like, we've heard a lot. So, but I have some questions here. And we're just going to kind of cut right to the chase on some of this here. Could be short and sweet. Jonathan, do you feel like your hand with the business was forced to sell JOMEZ? And did you sell JOMEZ?
No, I think that it was, I mean, most people know that we've been doing this for 11 years now, and we've had many different iterations of what JomezPro is. And I don't think that I could have necessarily foreseen a lot of things that have happened up to this point in the history of our company, but I also am like really like excited to see what this next step means. And yeah, so I would say absolutely not. It was not forced. It was more of like, what's next for JomezPro? We've had we've seen this company take on many different forms, and for me, this was the step that made the most sense because, as I've said to other people, we really were looking for a way to get back to doing what we do best as media professionals and not as, say, accountants or tax professionals or human resources professionals. So that to us was like why this made a lot of sense, because the Pro Tour has a ton of resources that can help us get back to why we got into this in the first place. And yeah, that's why I'm really excited about this next step to finally have everyone play to their strengths. It's gotten us a long ways in this company, and of course, a lot of companies operate that way. And it was really important for us to find a way to do that as well.
Yeah, and so let me take it here. I come from the corporate world, okay, and we have owners where we have lots of sister and brother companies that do the same thing as us. And so our owner is a company, and it seems like Disc Golf Pro Tour owns some companies and brands now, which is great. There's a lot of wins tied to that. Um, Sidestep for a second. What corporate conversations are you having before an interview like this? Like, hey, we aren't talking about that. We're going to say this. Like, is there that kind of stuff? Like, how unified are you guys trying to be on this message? Jeff?
Well, we haven't talked really at all about this interview today.
Okay, here we
so,
go.
I mean, we're on the same page because we both just went through the process of what happened. So, I think that probably you can't control what everybody thinks about a transaction, what's coming out about it on, every corner of the internet. We just put out there, our perspective on what transpired, which,
right.
We feel like you can trust. It's actually what happened, and really it's born out of positivity. I think there's glass half full, glass half empty, folks, and on probably a spectrum in the world. And I find Jonathan to be on the positive side. He looks forward. He sees what can be done. So do I. I think we're similar in that way. And we just are looking to the future. We're looking at like what's next, and this is a means to another step forward for both of us. So
Great.
There's not much we have to do. I mean, we've worked together for a long time. We trust each other, and that's why a partnership like this gets to the finish line.
Okay.
Because we've worked with each other, we trust each other, we're friends, and we're looking forward to working more closely together. And so not a lot of prep for this interview, and hopefully that addresses our perspective. And I mean, that said, I think we're also happy to. There's a lot of details. It took a lot of work. Everybody on our team and the JOMEZ team worked really hard to get to this point and make sense, all the parts and pieces for us. So we know that there's a lot to share in terms of details.
Sure.
And so that's why we love jumping on shows. And I especially this one I've come on a number of times. I don't know where Nick is, but
he heard you were coming. I actually heard Jonathan was coming on. He's like, I'm getting on a plane. I'm flying to Florida. No, I'm joking, obviously. So how much of a win is this? Give me the short version, maybe a percentage or a dollar amount. No. How much of a win is this for the Pro Tour? Like the Disc Golf Pro Tour, is this a home run? Like, how would you rate this?
Yeah, I would definitely rate it a home run. The media drives our company forward. We have a lot of parts and pieces, but media is a central area of revenue for us. It's how we share our product with the world outside of the people that are on site, which is also growing and exciting. But the JOMEZ brand is iconic in the sport. Jonathan's one of the great media minds of our industry, and to work closer in a more official capacity, to have, the talent that the team brings, you can't say it's anything but a home run, I think, especially because, the circumstances where, this is a way to, help the brand continue to grow in new ways. I mean, it's not that the brand was doing anything but great stuff, up until this point. But, when you look at next steps, sometimes you have to take a big one to reach new goals. And, from our conversations, that's where, I understand Jonathan's, mind to be at. And also, opportunity came because, a business partner, was going on to new opportunities, new place in their career. And so makes a lot of sense to, say, what's the next step in terms of partnership? Who are the people I work with? What are the brands I work with? And you're here kind of holding an open hand. So for us, certainly a home run, and we want to make it that way for the JOMEZ brand and its fans too.
Absolutely. Jonathan, you're a visionary. I would imagine you do great with your creative work. We've talked before. You're doing excellent things. How do you think, this is a very large question. How do you think disc golf will benefit from this? So like, what's the vision or the future? Where's JOMEZ going to get to with an agreement and a partnership like this? Like, what's the future look like for disc golf media from your mind?
Well, some people are aware. I mean, we've put the information out there, but one of the immediate benefits from this, even before we even announced this, was the fact that we were able to take on MPO and FPO next day coverage. We've essentially doubled our coverage capabilities from one year to the next. We've done FPO before alongside MPO, but maybe once or twice a season in certain tournaments, worlds or something like that. And like this is just like the first step. It made the most sense as soon as we knew that this was going to happen. It was like, okay, can we do this? And we take that to the crew, and they were like, yes, of course. And then they figure out, it wasn't like immediately we just did it, but it was like it took weeks ahead of time during the off season to figure out how it was going to be done. And we've been doing it ever since. So this is just like the first step in what's possible. And, we also are very excited to finally get into more extra content, like we call it, or off the course content, stuff like that. Just really trying to expand our capabilities and our offerings in the media department, whether it's doing more with coverage or just finding ways of putting more types of content out there that can catch the attention of people that maybe don't necessarily want to watch 18 holes of disc golf.
Yeah, and we have people in the chat right now asking about that extra content, things like practice rounds, putting games. That stuff's not going away, right?
No, we certainly don't have any plans to scale back. Like I've told people this, that we had to do that last year because of trying to protect the one thing that we knew was going to work, was coverage. And when things get a little tough, you have to make adjustments and make some sacrifices for a little bit until you can kind of get past certain times where things may be a little more difficult. And then now this is opening that back up and saying, now we're moving forward. And like I said, we would not be able to do the double coverage of MPO and FPO without a deal like this in place, because of the access to resources, from operators to editors to, again, just like finally kind of handing off some certain jobs that are better suited for other people so that we can get back to the media side of things. So this is exactly what we're doing, is certainly not scaling back.
Okay. Another question for you, Jonathan. Well, do you think JOMEZ will miss chase card coverage winners going forward? This could be a conversation possibly between both of you, but we know that with the chase, it's like a new era, chase card winners. It's going to happen more often. Does this now partnership, if you want to call it that, or ownership from the Disc Golf Pro Tour allow you access to coverage to produce more multi-card type coverage? Is that a thing?
I mean, it's absolutely a possibility. We've worked with Gatekeeper many times before to do those types of chase card things, but we also know how important it is to Gatekeeper to have access to that, because we've been in that position as well. So for us, it's more about speaking with them and saying like, hey, how can we try to make a more complete product, and kind of going from there. But for the time being, I mean, I've said it before, I'm excited whenever it's I guess it's bittersweet, but I am excited when someone wins from the chase card, because like I said to other people, this is a challenge for us, and to figure out how do we how do we put the right pieces in place to provide more complete coverage. And the live broadcast does a great job of it. And we haven't really had the ability to have enough people, to cover lead and chase at the same time. We've done it before, but it's the same thing as we did MPO and FPO before, but it wasn't something we could commit to. And it's certainly something that I would like to explore more, probably not in the immediate sense, because there are certain things in place and we respect, the people that are in those positions, but it's certainly something that we could discuss and see how it could benefit both parties, or something that the board could kind of help us work through and just kind of see how that happens. But at the same time, for the time being, Gatekeeper is amazing at what they do. We can still provide a certain part of the story, and then there's times where they get to provide, the main course, when somebody does something amazing, and that's awesome, because it still provides us with a challenge on how we might could improve what we're doing, but at the same time, it's just great for them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Honestly, that's great insight there. I think you're right. Right now, that position's held right now. The future may look different. Jeff, is JOMEZ a Disc Golf Pro Tour brand of, like, a brand of Disc Golf Pro Tour? Like, you're going to start selling JOMEZ merchandise on site, all this kind of stuff. Like, it's a brand of Disc Golf Pro Tour. Or do you see it more as just like, hey, they're owned by us, like they're going to operate in, like, what am I trying to think here? Independently, you know, like they're going to be a company of Disc Golf Pro Tour. Like, how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of heard you describing things around this so far. So let me just be, you know, kind of transparent and perfectly clear with the situation. JomezPro is its own company. And Jonathan is the president of that company. That company is owned by the Disc Golf Pro Tour's parent company, which is basically DBA, Disc Golf Pro Tour. Jonathan has a stake in that company, which owns JomezPro. So that is the relationship. So JomezPro, you know, will operate as an independent brand with its own books, and it will also, you know, interface and connect in with the Disc Golf Pro Tour, you know, as, you know, kind of benefits the both of the brands as much as possible. So you know, that's hopefully that's clear. It's a different company, but it's owned and operated, you know, it's owned by the Disc Golf Pro Tour, operated still by the JomezPro team that's come over. Now there's a lot of efficiencies and a lot of tie-ins. And you know, there's going to be a lot of benefits both ways, because we are both working on the same media product now, which is coverage of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, whether it's DGN or JomezPro, DGN being live, JomezPro being post. And so this acquisition, which it was an asset purchase agreement, an acquisition of the JomezPro brand, that brand is not, so it's, you know, there's a LLC under JomezPro that's DBA JomezPro, that's different than the company that Jonathan started, which has transferred the assets of JomezPro over to this new company. So I don't know if that'll mean much to a lot of people listening.
Yeah, no, that's interesting
you know,
to me.
and it's you know, there's probably, because of, you know, and again, I've kind of referenced in a couple interviews, we worked hard to get this deal done. It was just because some of the you know, kind of rules and regulations around acquisitions of an LLC, you know, acquiring another business. So we found out that this was the best way to go. You know, and you know, worked hard to make sure that everything made sense and matched up. And so we, you know, basically you know, are at a point where, you know, it doesn't necessarily, you know, matter if it's, you know, represented a specific way. I think the most important thing is that people know that JomezPro is still a different company. It's its own brand. It's been acquired by the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Jonathan is the president of it. And now we're looking to make sure that everything's operating as efficiently as possible, in order to make sure that we're using our resources, you know, as wisely as possible to expand content, you know, kind of find the most compelling products for fans to watch. And Jonathan's going to be a big part of leading that evolution, which I think is exciting.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Hopefully that makes sense. Sorry.
No, that was clear.
It is kind of complex, and that's why I said everybody worked hard to get here. But
the company I work for on the corporate level is like one of a couple hundred who are owned, and the way we work together as unique. Sometimes we're bidding against each other, but we're like sister brother companies. So I understand that, and I think that's great. From my perspective, that's cool to hear, Jonathan. So Jonathan, at some point back when you started going on tour the first year, you ended up in this studio basement. It wasn't a studio at the time, but you were here breathing the same air I'm breathing now. We have it somewhere marked that JOMEZ was, but you were here for a couple of weeks editing. And I can remember clearly, it was like a 24-hour operation then with three of you, or maybe three, I think. I'd come down at any time of the day or night, and someone was sitting there and like editing. And I'm like, wow. How is this like change now with everything that Jeff just mentioned? Does this change anything for your day to day? And if it does, are you looking forward to that change? Is it refreshing?
Oh, it absolutely is refreshing. Can you imagine if you had like 10 jobs and half of them are something you weren't all that great at? And then somebody came in and said, "Hey, let me help you out with that. I'm actually good at that stuff." And then you can get back to what you're good at and play to your strengths. That's kind of what it feels like. And that's the case for a lot of us on the crew and even some of the people on the Disc Golf Pro Tour side, because we have that crossover and the ability to collaborate and just all do our best work in order to accomplish the same goal. So yeah, the answer to that is absolutely. It's been a huge relief, and it's we've come a long ways from being down in the basement out there at your place, parking the RV that was probably way too big to be parked in there. I don't even know if that was against the rules or what, but that was a good time.
Good
and I think we
times.
did it at least 1 or 2 more years. I
Yeah.
remember watching football down on your big screen, or we'd have the guys down there doing commentary on the projector.
That's
that was
right.
like the biggest screen they've ever done commentary on. So we still hold the record for that.
Oh, did you hear that? We got the record. We have a record, everybody.
That's
a
awesome.
JOMEZ record. That's awesome. Is Disc Golf Pro Tour losing revenue on the media rights that were sold, Jeff? So, like, the deal that you announced when you guys brought on JOMEZ. Now, all of a sudden, are you still getting that? Because they're operating independently. Are you still getting media right revenue through them, or is that a wash?
The answer overall is yes. But I think that there are elements of the deal, that we've incorporated the remaining balance of what was owed into the agreement. So,
Okay.
We feel confident that we're going to get that and
Okay.
more,
Okay.
hopefully back. Long term, we do see, like I've talked about this before, but this is one of the most valuable brands in the sport.
Absolutely.
We're all incentivized to make sure that the brand continues performing well and at a high level. And so that's why we're interested in investing in that brand and
Right.
all of the valuable products it creates, all of the joy it brings to viewers, the evolution of the media that it's been able to capture. And I love coming on here because you ask me different questions, Matt, and you get to the bottom of some things that people just circle around and wonder about. But
just like, bro,
yeah,
I've been thinking these things. I listened to each of your interviews, Jeff. I literally sat there and listened to like 3 hours of you guys talking. I'm like, man, I got to get some questions here. No, it's good. So, okay. So yes, let's move on. There's so many more we could ask, but I will shout out the other podcasts. Go check out the other podcasts. They answered a lot more about other things. But before you go, and we know your time's valuable, this is probably more for Jeff than anything. Well, let me ask this in short. I'll go one last one here to Jonathan. Is there anything in your mind that's like an upgrade for you? Is there any like, hey, we're able to get another camera now with this, all the deal, all the stuff that's going down? Is there any things that's getting added to JOMEZ that you couldn't have done? I know you got, FPO coverage, but is there any upgrades of anything?
I think a lot of it is more like the intangible,
Okay.
like not like a camera,
Mhm.
because we always, had access to that and figuring out how to continue to upgrade our equipment. But it's the stuff that on the back end, like the organizational stuff, the logistics. We have a really large team that keeps growing, and the Pro Tour has a very efficient system of how to get people from A to B and back home. There's a lot of things like that, and just I would say a lot of the back end things is what's becoming like the most immediate benefit to something like this, just because there's a lot going on at any given time.
Mhm.
We've come a long ways from 3 people in an RV,
Yeah.
and now it's people all over the country. And some of them never travel and some of them do, and there's a lot of things to figure out on how to do what we do. And it's beyond coverage. It's social media, it's e-commerce, it's ad partnerships and ad sales and things like that. So there's so many things that people may not even realize that we do on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of the back end stuff is exactly why something like this is going to be a huge win for disc golf, because it allows us to kind of be able to focus back and kind of recalibrate our vision and work with the tour provide even more value, which is why we're here.
Mm-hmm. And go ahead, Jeff. I was just going to say, for those listening, I don't see anybody off camera like with a shadow of a gun pointing towards Jonathan. Like, he's saying this, I'm pretty sure, because he believes it. I see all over the internet people being like, yeah, but he's forced to say this stuff. Like, I don't think that's the case, right, Jonathan? Okay, he's laughing. Jeff,
I live so far away from people in West Texas. I don't even know how long it would take to get someone that actually was capable of doing that over here.
Oh, okay. No, so he's saying this for real. Jeff, touch on that. I got 2 last questions, and we got about 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I'll just touch on it briefly. Like, JOMEZ is a fully functioning media company. If there was a need, we would, at this point, you'd be in a position where we would take care of that. So if there's equipment needs, we take care of it. We have capital budgets that are set yearly. They're assessed quarterly. And, if something finds its way onto there, that could be taken, in stride, but, we try to lock our capital budgets yearly, and we still have, over $300,000, on that, as long as we keep hitting our marks, for live infrastructure investment that we'll be announcing in the future, of this year. And then, come 2024, we'll probably look at the media department as a whole. So, I mean, it will be based on, the success of the business, but, we assess, capital needs on a basically a yearly basis. So, yeah,
I'm just going to say that's the win of partnerships and owner. Like I said, there's so much our company benefits drastic ways because of that. All right, here's 2 questions not related to this JOMEZ acquisition. Disc Golf Pro Tour, again, I don't know the names of who it is, but they have a lawsuit filed against them. OTB Open is happening as planned. Is that accurate? You probably can't comment on the lawsuit, but OTB is on as planned. It's coming up. It's this week.
Yes. So OTB is on as planned. We'll be coming to you live from Stockton, California on Friday. And I can't comment on an ongoing litigation at this time, but we're excited to move forward with OTB, and it should be some course changes, should be a good battle out there.
Awesome. And then the chat heard things in other interviews, and tour cards came up, and drug testing, and everyone has been chanting, will weed be tested for? Do you have any idea? I know it's so far out, but is that in your wildest dreams? Is that what you're going for? Like, hey, we want to make sure people aren't smoking weed.
No, we don't have wildest dreams. We don't have a list. We would be working with a third party that would make recommendations. Our board, the PDGA, will be involved and make assessments based on, what is, decision of, recommending, body, the board of the PDGA, the board of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So there's no list. Okay. And, there's not really much to project at this point in time. Once we get closer, I'm sure there'll be some discussion on, what we see as recommendations from, kind of third parties, consultants, vendors, that kind of stuff.
The chat is not happy with the way I voiced the people asking about weed. They're like, why did you have to ask it that way? So I asked it, I got it out there. There you go. And then I heard docuseries, Paul Macbeth. When's that coming out? That's something JOMEZ is doing. Is that correct?
That's something that we're talking about right now, actually. Okay. That's something we have met about recently. But okay. There's just some final planning going into that. It will be driven by JOMEZ, and we don't have a final release date or distribution schedule, but internally we know most of that stuff, and have an agreement with Paul. And it seems like, I'm kind of trying to leave this one in Jonathan's hands at this point. So, but we're kind of,
cool.
Kind of trying to feel out. And that's why we're not talking about a lot of details.
That's fine.
What the content slate will end up being, what the opportunities are, when projects will be released. So, if we knew, we would probably just tell you, but we're working on some of that stuff. I don't know if Jonathan has anything to add.
You got, and I say this with all due respect, we got Greg Barsby coming on in about a minute. So you get about 30 seconds to a minute, Jonathan. What do you got? Is this cool docuseries coming, or you have it planned out already, or is it just a dream right now?
No, it's definitely going to be one of the first projects that we've, aside from what I said, taking on FPO, this is kind of one of the first projects that we had in mind that we can now pursue in ways that even 12 months ago we wouldn't have been in position to do. So awesome. Very excited for that. And yeah, there's a huge network of people that the Pro Tour is connected to, that even over the years that we've been here, that we, are still outside of who the type of people that we know. And so this is just like, hey, like, help us out with this, with sourcing a camera in Norway, or help us out with, like finding an operator in this place. So this is the type of stuff we're excited about. We're certainly very excited to share more details about this project and others as soon as we possibly can.
Absolutely. So thank you guys so much for coming on. Jonathan, it's weird doing an interview with an old friend, if you will. Like, and Jeff, same thing. It's kind of weird. Like, I'm like, I'd rather just talk off camera and just have a good conversation, but we're trying to bring people what they're interested in. You guys just helped add value to our show, so we appreciate that, and we believe our fans are going to love what you had to say. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you around. Have good luck out there. I mean, you're getting back into the depth of the season here, so enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the last week, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, thanks for having us. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, but we're happy to do it. And one last thing, Matt. Yeah. Great work on the beard, man.
Oh, baby. Let's go. There's gonna be a challenge soon where it's gonna get shaved off. I know it's gonna happen, but I'm until that point, we're just it's here.
I would fight it as long as I can. You look like you're like on getting ready to join up with like what's the baseball team you guys got out there? What's the closest one?
Like the Red Sox, maybe?
Red Sox, there you go. Maybe that's kind of what the vibe I'm getting, but I like it.
All right. I appreciate those kind words, Jonathan. The chat comments on stuff every week. Matt's eyebrows are looking like it's always crazy. So thank you very much for that. All right. Without further ado, we're gonna let you go. Get back to your life, and we'll get back to ours. Thank you guys very much. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Bye.
Peace out. Bye. All right. Without further ado, we don't want to keep him waiting. He is a very, very busy person. This guy, in fact, we've tried for years. I don't know what else to say.
He's elusive. He's rare. We got him.
Intern Ben says he's the most rare interview out there. We had to get him. Here we go. Let's bring him in. I don't know. Let's see. Is it a Gannon Buhr interview? Is he driving down the road? Let's go. Here we go. Everybody, world champion and most recently Santa Cruz Masters Cup champion Greg Barsby. Welcome to the show, my dude. We're so happy to have you on. How you doing? Oh, no. It's muted you. For some reason, it has you muted. We can see you beautifully. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. It always works for our guest. You know how you can close out Safari, just swipe it away and tap the link and go in one more time. Just close it out, go back in that link, and let's see if that works again. Like you can, yeah, perfect. Go. No, try like actually closing out the stream. Like quit Safari.
Like leave this place.
Leave it, totally close it out. Close it, swipe it away, then come back at the link. Oh, he's gone now. You can't hear what I'm saying.
Okay. And
No, he's not. He just shut off his camera.
I'm gonna hang up on him.
Oh, okay, he hung up. Let's see if the third time's a charm. Can we hear you, Greg?
Yes.
Okay, we can. Okay, bring him up. Greg,
coming back.
Welcoming him back to the show. I don't know why, but we can hear you now.
Yes, what's up? What's up, dude?
Oh man, I thought we got the most rare interview, and then we can't even hear him. So, dude, there's so much to talk about. You have about probably 12 minutes right now. You just took down Masters Cup. You did it. You said for the old guard, if you will. You had top 10 players there, handfuls of them. You came down. We're not spoiling it. I think the coverage is out. You came down. You ended up forcing a playoff. Tell us about how the playoff went, and then tell us what the victory felt like.
Oh man, well, yeah, the playoff was. I didn't know what was going to happen from like this, pretty much the start of it till the very end. It was totally wild. Definitely worth a watch. The whole one, I felt like I threw the perfect shot and got up in there for the three, and it hit a root and rolled back like right to circle's edge. And then, for somebody that I don't want to spoil it, but you asked. So, I mean, and then
it's not
Alden
spoiled. The coverage is out.
Alden threw it underneath the log, which, it's just the tale of two lines, right? Like mine got over the log, looked great, hit the root, rolled back, and then his slid right under. So maybe 3 foot closer than I was, but I didn't make the version. I thought it was over right there, but Alden didn't close, and then we pretty much played it out from there. clutch putt on the next hole after throwing a great drive. He also threw a great drive. So, props to Alden. We battled it out. I know that he didn't have a good approach shot on the third playoff hole. And once I finally got the opportunity, just got to close the door from 52 feet uphill. So, that's that.
Yeah. You told me in a text message there was a little bit of a somber feel to the week or the event. JB, I don't mean to like go down that road necessarily, but did you feel like the community was different that week on the disc golf course?
Just definitely a sense of family, and like I said, it was really somber. There's a lot of tears out there. We've all known JB for a really long time. I met JB when I was probably 13 or 14. In a Santa Cruz staple and local Masters world champion in 2011, and just everybody loves JB. We all love JB. So
yeah,
really, really sad weekend for a lot of the people that were out there. But you had like Tom Schott was out there. All of the guys out there for 40 years were really out. It was very vibe.
Okay. Yeah. Moving into a different topic, what are you doing? You just told me again in a text message, short conversation. You're like, hey, we're running. What is it called? The high energy tour or something like that? Yeah, high energy tour. You're putting this on. Is that correct?
Yes. My girlfriend and Philo and I. This is our tour that we kind of started in 2016, but we're going to move it stateside. We've got 3 stops this year. We're doing San Leandro tomorrow to a maxed out crowd. We've got 120 players coming out to play a flex start. And then we've got 2 clinics going on. Our special guest is Matt Bell for this season. So he's going to be teaching his putting secrets, and I'll be doing the forehand, and Philo will be teaching his philosophy. And yeah, we're back to the community, right? That's kind of the whole goal of the high tours, to invigorate with all the players and fans and a lot of our friends.
Yeah. What do you think about the current state of disc golf? Now, this is not your, you have as long as you want, but you don't have as long as you want tonight. You're busy. The explosion is more what I'm talking about. The amount that's happening, it's a different, how many people recognize you still and give you credit for all that you've done? What do you think about the current state of disc golf?
Man, that's a loaded question. I mean, I'm going on, I think, my 21st year in the pros. So I've been playing for 30 years. It's incredible. I heard this from the guys way back when I started, 5-10 years, the game's going to blow up, it's going to get big. And it's really special to see how big it's getting. As far as people recognizing me, it's cool. It happened every once in a while in public, but it's nothing crazy. Typically if we go to a course, maybe it'll happen more. But but just everybody working. I think the big thing to point out is everybody working so hard. From the players, the sponsors working hard to make the best discs possible, to all the media companies and the pro tour coming in now and putting in front of everybody, having a live streaming service. It's kind of ridiculous. There's so much work to be done, and there's so many people that are out doing it. From the commentating. I just picked up Philo from the airport. That guy's busy as ever. He's going to be commentating, some tournament in the near future. And that's the one to me. There's so much happening in the game. Mm-hmm. To see a point is just incredible. Really, it's like it's a dream come true. There's also, I think, some challenges that come with it, but I probably don't want to go into some of my personal feelings about the specifics.
Mm-hmm. I would consider you a legend, and people have to give you this credit. Obviously, you don't give it to yourself. I'd consider you a legend in disc golf. Now, there's other legends that you see in disc golf, but we see you as one of those. I'm trying. Where am I going with this? I just wanted to say that. No, where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself trying to get fitting, attempting to be in disc golf for the rest of your life? Like, I've heard players be like, I want to get a course and some property, and I want to just make it a destination, or I want to commentate or whatever. Like, where do you see your future in disc golf? Like, you're still winning. I'm not calling you old and outdated, but like you got to be projecting. You got to be projecting a little bit where you want to get to.
Funny enough, in the award speech last night, I said, there's not every course that I can win on. I don't think so. It's good to pull down at a course. I want to do it all. I guess that's my deal. I always just want it all, and I want it now, which is really tough. But so we're building a high energy this year. Like, we only have 3 stops, but we want to bring like the best possible environment for the people and the fans and the players and our staff and our volunteers. Because I want to my own little training facility out there. I did import the Seeger bags from Norway, so I couldn't find a deal that I felt was right for me. So I decided that I would just import those bags myself and start to distribute them and build up some credibility for that bag. It's very popular in Europe, so I think it's going to get more and more popular here as built. Gross. Those are all at the warehouse, stuff like that. I'd love to do commentate. Those guys are ballers. They're like up in the early morning or like super late. I think it's this thing that really kind of had me.
Okay. I know you're people think I'm rushing you, but really it's the fact we know your time's valuable. You have some amazing date you're going on, right?
Thank you. Yeah, well, we're gonna go out to dinner. We have a 5:30. We're going for Thai food. We're here in Oakland. I'm at the Airbnb tonight because we've got the event tomorrow.
Okay.
Stuff behind the scenes, right? Gotta write players meeting and answer emails and all stuff. So,
dude,
it's a work day.
It's incredible, and I understand. And I'm serious. You are incredibly busy, and I appreciate so much coming on. Last question for you, and I know you'll remember because it was probably a bad memory. Who decided to pick? Who decided to pick you up off the side of one of the highways at a rest stop once after, Manny picked you up, drove you a Porsche, and I picked you up. I'm like, let's get you to Maple Hill.
Oh my gosh.
People know this, that I talk a lot. We just started talking, you and me, telling stories back and forth. We drive right by the exit. We added another hour to the trip to get to Maple, which was great for me. You're hijacked. Then I brought you to my house and I said, hey, come down in my basement and look through my discs. You found a disc. You said, can I have this? And I said, yes. I don't care where it is. It's a story that I have. You were climbing through the basement before it was finished. Do you remember that story?
The green Comet.
Yes. Okay. It was a green Comet, and everyone knows that's the disc I love. So there you go.
Green Comet. That was back in the Discraft days. Yeah, that was touring. I guess I have a van, so it does gotten a little bit, but this West Coast swing, we decided not to drive the van. We flew out and we're doing the Turo and the Airbnbs and staying with some friends. So, you have to put it together. When I love this game so much. It's crazy. I just go across the world for it and all this. You never know the adventure you're going to go on. And that's part of touring sometimes for me. It's just, going with the serendipity of life and figuring out how you're going to, and you miss a turn. And then it's like, what was it? Like 6 miles on the Mass Turnpike till the next turnaround. So like,
I did not want to tell you that I missed the exit, but then you were going to question why we were turning around. So I was like, I have to tell him we missed that 25 minutes ago, bro. Last question here, the chat question. We're just picking one out of the hat here. What's the bag that Greg Barsby is importing? They're asking about a bag that you're importing.
Yeah, it's called the Seeger bag. Originally, it's made by out of Norway. Manufacturing, develop the bag. They're switching to where it's just going to be Seeger bag. So right now, it's at the tail end of the Guru Seeger bag. Now it's just going to be Seeger bag. So we're building and developing. You can check them out. You can buy one on SeegerBagUSA.com. Although I think we're going to be migrating platforms to Seeger bags. Just keep up with me. We'll be posting, and yeah, you can look up Seeger bags on Instagram. follow the Guru account. So yeah, that's pretty much. We've got 3 different colors. Check them out. You can use my code, Greg10. You can use Proctor's code. Proctor's been killing it. Let's talk about him for a second, man. I can't believe it was a crazy rundown yesterday. It was bonkers. I encourage everybody to go watch the video.
Hey, you were not second fiddle. You were first fiddle, but we also tried to get James. That guy wanted to come on. He said he was too busy. I don't know. You might be just as busy as him, but you made time for us. So, man, we appreciate it. Definitely James Proctor's the man. Is there anything else you want to promote before you leave? It's a great platform to do it. We want to give you the space to do it. And then we'll let you go.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on. I know it was short notice. High Energy Tour. Follow us on Instagram. You can follow my Instagram. I don't do a ton, but I try. And, thank you for supporting all the tours, everybody that comes out to the Pro Tour. We appreciate it. All the good stuff. Anything else that I want to promote? Have a good time with the people that you love and your friends. Go out and play golf. Really, and try to take the time to care about each other. Thank you for the opportunity to have me on. Anything else? Huge thanks to Innova Discs, my main sponsor, and Millennium Golf Discs. I was cranking on my new J weekend. I did throw mid ranges this weekend. Got some birdies. And a big Alden. He's a really, really good player, man. He is so smooth watching him play. He played some great golf. Somebody had to win. Someone has to win. So, yeah.
Cool. Absolutely. People in the chat, they're going to go watch the coverage just because you won is what they're telling us. So there you go, dude. You got a lot of love out there. When you make it back up here to the Northeast, we'll definitely see you. High five, and maybe I'll take you for a ride. We'll get lost a little bit more this time, but thanks for coming on.
All right. Hey, guys, thank you to all the fans. Thank you to all the listeners. I appreciate it.
All right. Peace out, Greg. Have a good one. All right, everybody. That was world champion Greg Barsby. Now, I don't usually comment on hey, why are the schedule happening the way it is? Let's bring Evan back in 2 up. Let's go 2 up. It was a packed schedule tonight, Evan. It was we have Pro Tour Jeff Spring, who I'm familiar with talking a lot, just like I do. You have Jonathan Gomez, 2 people at once. It's hard to give them both the time of day. And then we know that Greg is getting on right at the top of the hour. And I have a text that says promptly he had somewhere to go. And I'm trying to crush the first interview. It's just hard. That's the nature of a live show. One day, if we go not live, we can, draw things out. But we have Gannon coming on in about 7 minutes.
Yeah, we got 7 minutes. I'm going to give you some credit here. That both those interviews back to back were fantastic. The Jeff Spring and Jonathan Gomez one, I think I listened to 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 of their interviews this past week. And so you killed it. I know we were in a short time crunch. I did have some questions. I know I'm not the best interviewer. I don't always do it. Usually we have Nick on too, and you and Nick have a good flow back and forth. But you were just crushing it. I'm like, you know what? My questions aren't as good. Matt's crushing it. Let's roll with this. I think you gave people answers that they were hoping other interviews did. Not to put down any other interviews. I thought they were all the other ones were fantastic. Yeah. It depends on when you get them to. Obviously, we're 6 days late now, so we're not going to get the basic news. We're going to ask the extra little details, which worked out well. And then straight into Barsby, like you said, that was awesome. Glad we got him on. I agree. He's a legend in the sport, even though he sees other people as more legendary than him or legends to him. He absolutely is a legend. And I just want to say, last 2018 Worlds, that's his world champion year at Smuggler's Notch in Vermont. We're getting back there this year. He wins that Masters Cup. We never know. He actually finished 7th at GMC last year. He's never finished outside the top 20 at Smuggler's Notch. I don't know. I'm getting goosebumps, man. Not that I'm picking him to win, but I'm getting excited for it, and I think it'll be cool. There's so much.
Yeah, I can feel that excitement that you were just bringing. People who've been around the sport for long enough. This is, I think, my 17th year. Barsby was a figure at a core level before Paul Macbeth, before Ricky, not before everybody, but when I came in, he was a core figure. And I always wondered, he's so good. Will he win anything? So it was so awesome to see when he won Worlds. Like incredible. It's like the people's champion, I think is what people are saying. Like, and now it's like Barsbarians unite. What a great guy. His audio was just a little off. I think his phone was trying to like get rid of background noise, but like, we're like just taking it in. We're like, please, I want to hear the words he's saying. So I'm so glad he made the time to do that. He is incredibly busy today. He's running an event. He's got all the event build up, the players meetings, the dinners, all the stuff. So very cool. And for those who didn't know, let me just say, for those who didn't know, I brought up somebody, JB. It's public knowledge, but he did commit suicide. And that's a ripple through the whole disc golf world. People being reminded of the value of life. And I just wanted to give context to that question. I knew Greg, he alluded to me earlier, the disc golf world was affected. I wanted to give Greg an opportunity to say something. And that's kind of why he also closed out like he did, let people know, kind of like Nick always says, let people know you care, let them know that you love them. So that's all. I just wanted to give context to that. What do you got, Evan?
No, very well said. I actually don't even remember what I was going to say originally, but I did want to give Greg an extra shout out. I believe I saw him in Vegas. That had to be where it is, because he was talking about his new bag. That dude is seriously excited about that bag. Like, it's not just like him trying to be salesman, like just the one that he's repping for this season, and he's going to hop to a next. He was excited about that one. That one has the little like secret. No, I shouldn't say secret. I think it's very well known. It has the back pocket, so it has zippers on both sides. And he was stoked about it. He was excited for the year. So I think that's cool. And if you're a Greg Barsby fan, try to support him the best you can.
Yeah. He remembered the color of the disc.
Wild.
And it was accurate because everyone knows that we talk about comets all the time. So like when he said comet, I was like, he's not just making up a disc. Like, he actually remembered, and then the color. And I'm trying to remember what year that was. Dude, it's probably 10 years at least, but I don't recall even that. He might know that too. But yeah, so that was cool.
And that story's all too real. That Mass Pike doesn't treat Worcester well. Once you get past, it's like, going to Sturbridge, and then after Sturbridge, it's like, you're pretty much in Springfield. Like, there's not a lot in between. And but as soon as I heard that, I'm like, yep, too relatable. That's a story. You didn't make that up.
When I'm driving by the exit, Evan, like, I'm just like, oh no, you get like the sweats. You're like, what did I just do? Yeah. Like, he's trying to get to Maple Hill, and it's not that far from Boston, but I like doubled his trip length. We just kept going, and I'm like, at what point do I tell him? Like, we drove past it. It was when we had to go to turn around. I was like, by the way, about a half hour ago, I drove by our exit.
Oh man.
Good times. Yeah, you know what? It came up twice tonight. Greg's been down here in the basement. I don't need to do a who's who, but a lot of incredibly impactful people. And now I'm thinking about it, like Greg, I'd put him way up there now. Like, we've had Paul down here. That's way up there. We've had lots of impactful people. JOMEZ, the whole crew has been down here. The list goes on, but like, that is cool. And you know what's funny about that? And I'm not saying cool, like I'm cool, I got that. Like, my kids, again, they're probably upstairs. I'm looking up. They see these players walk through the door, and at this point, they'll give the respect of like, hey, hi. But they're like, I don't know how to say it. They don't have that like awestruck, starstruck feeling to them. There's like, hi. And they're like, who else is coming tonight, Dad? Like, let's have, anyways. They're
I gotta see that. Simon for the 20th billionth time.
I gotta record. That's a good idea, dude. I gotta record that sometime when he walks through the door, how my kids react, because people in disc golf will not understand it. He walks through the door and he says, hey guys, and they'll glance away from whatever they're like reading or watching or on their laptops studying or whatever, and they'll just look over and go, hi, and then go back to their laptops. They're just like, dude, we've seen you so many times now. Like, they don't have a clue.
Yeah, that's kind of twofold. I mean, that's what's so cool about disc golf and just the stage we're at is the biggest names in the sport are so easy to get to. And Matt, you've made a name for yourself, and you kind of have that clout, maybe. I don't know if that's the right
A
word.
name. There's good and bad. I've made a name, just straight up.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's more than good than bad.
Thanks,
but yeah, that
what's your percentage? We were doing percentages tonight. Good versus bad.
I don't know. It's higher than Gannon Buhr staying with Prodigy. Good. That's a weird way to say that. No, it's pretty high. I'd say it's over 90%.
Gannon's in the room right now too.
Oh no. Well, he can tell us.
He's sideways right now. I don't know why. His phone's locked sideways. We'll let him figure that one out. But
what to say is you just have access to the biggest names in the sport. Sport's a hard. I want to say support. I don't know. I'm struggling today. It's Monday. But the fact that your kids are able to meet these players and they're so easy just to say hi to, but then also just like, I mean, players like Simon, they're just normal people. That's all they are. They're very good at throwing frisbees and they're just down to earth, relatable people. Greg Barsby's the same way. And so when you meet them, it feels normal. It feels like you just, met someone at league or you ran into someone at the grocery store, like one of those things. And so really cool just all around. And those stories put it into perspective.
Yeah, for sure. You say the regular people, and that's the fun part is you get to see the regular side. But when you go out and play disc golf with them, there's no way they're regular. Like,
well, their skills aren't regular.
Yeah,
no,
their skills aren't
not
regular.
At all. Their personalities are. They're not like Simon's not like, oh, I've won more Pro Tour events than anyone in the last 365 days. No one can touch me. I just signed a huge contract and it may or may not be $1 million a year.
No, I don't want to throw him under the bus, but when you get into the friend level, Simon, he'll throw a few jabs out there like that. And that was like when we hung out with Paul Macbeth before, right? So it was snowing. We're at 501 disc golf course. Shout out 501, a little bit west of here.
I was there today.
And it starts snowing. I'm there with Paul, Nick, and Hannah. And Paul starts sweeping the tee pads. And we're like, there's your world champion sweeping tee pads. And he said something like, we're like, you're not throwing well today. And he goes, what did he say? He had a sweep that year or something. He's like, I'm the only one with a sweep here or something. It was like, he was throwing the jabs at us. But
Paul, I mean, in terms of like kindness, I've only had a few interactions. In terms of kindness, I'm sure he's the same, but he's got a little bit of an edge, I'm sure if I beat Paul Macbeth in like the silliest competition, like we were throwing pool noodles in the air and seeing how high you could get it, or touch a speck on the wall, like something dumb like that, and I started bragging in the slightest, he would want to beat me in every other thing possible for the rest of the night. I would assume. Not that I've done that with him, but that's my guess.
It's true.
You get where I'm going with that?
Yeah,
you guys know him better than I do, of course.
It's weird talking about like friendships and interactions with people, like we said, who are normal people, but then we have a show who are really interested, and it starts to turn into this weird like dynamic. But I will say, in this much, like we've played board games with him, and like just like I say, disc golfers all are like this. They're competitive. Yeah, you don't want to lose the board game. And they'll rub it in your face when they beat you. They're like, I just beat you at Monopoly too. Like, what else can we do? So yes, competitive people at heart. And we have Gannon Buhr, who's a competitor, in our green room. Let's bring him in. Let's welcome to the show, everybody, Gannon Buhr. I don't know his middle name, or else I might have said it. Gannon blank Buhr.
Gannon Buhr.
Gannon, what's your middle name, dude?
Oh, man, he's muted.
Why does this happen?
I don't...
Every
just
time.
exit real quick and then come back and you'll be good.
Yeah, it's an exit come back trick, and I do not understand it. It only happens sometimes. We're gonna have to
I'm
reproduce
gonna hang
this.
up on you again and then just join back.
We're gonna reproduce.
All right, let's play a game.
Play a game.
Andrew. Gannon Andrew Buhr?
No, it's
that's not it.
Michael.
I'd say Marie. Gannon
We got
Marie.
the M's. Michael.
No. I'm kind of hoping it's an O. Arrested Development, shout out right there.
All right, he's back. We can hear him.
Odette. Yeah, the comeback trick always works.
Dude,
all right, what's your middle
Marie
name?
Buhr. Gannon.
Middle name.
Gannon Marie.
I don't know if I want to share it.
Okay, you don't have to.
What
letter?
What letter?
F.
Frederick.
Franklin Diz.
Did I really get it?
First try.
Yes. No
Ben,
way.
what'd you say?
Frederick.
Get that.
Oh.
How did I get that? That is insane.
Yes, so I actually feel weird about that because we all know that Gannon Buhr from Intern Ben is a thing.
Dude, I had zero idea, Gannon. Like that was a complete guess out of my brain.
Okay.
Proud of myself.
I had a
pretty good,
hamster. I had a hamster named Frederick growing up.
Got
so.
it.
Wow. It's a pretty interesting name for a hamster.
Wait, he's with Alden. We just interviewed Greg. We can
Wait.
get the runner-up too. Whoa.
Who were we? Oh, we were interviewing Silas, and we saw the arm of Gavin. Now we're interviewing Gannon, and we see the arm of Alden. Okay. Good job, Alden. Greg gave you a shout out in the recent interview. We just did it with him just now, and he's like, dude, Alden. He's like, baller. And he laughs. There we go. Perfect.
Such a baller.
Such a disker. Is that a thing? Like, you're such a disker.
That's pretty lame.
That's pretty lame. All right. Enough of the casual talk. Dude, you made an announcement. Like, do you want to just read your Facebook status, or do you want to tell us in your own words?
Basically, Prodigy and I came to a resolution, and I'm going to finish out my contract currently, which expires at the end of this year.
Okay. That's short and sweet. You came to an agreement. Is there any details to this agreement? Is it the same agreement? Did you get anything out of this? Are they getting anything out of this? Yeah. Or is it just like straight up, we're just going back to the old contract?
Yeah, I'm just playing out my existing contract.
Okay. I mean, people probably want to know what happened. Like, just conversations. Did you actually sit down, or was it always someone advising you, like talking for you, like, or did you do the talking with Prodigy yourself?
I definitely had some help, but I can't really say too much on that, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I had some help for sure.
Okay. Are you happy?
I mean, I guess. I mean, I'm glad I can, I guess, just at least know what's happening. You know, no matter how it ended, I guess I'm not like under anything right now. So it's for the lawsuit to be dropped. Feels good. Just that way I can focus 100% on disc golf and not have to worry about like what's happening to me. You know.
Interesting. I actually didn't even think of that part. You said the lawsuit was dropped. We know that there was that restraining order at one point was dropped. I think that's what they call it. But so the lawsuit is officially over. It's like, is it thrown in the trash? It's like done?
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, that must be really a good feeling. If you had to give like your own words, how was that feeling playing disc golf, knowing that like lawsuit was there, compared to now the feeling of not having it? Like, what is that like?
It's not really much different. It was a little stressful at the beginning of the year. And then obviously as the year went on, it kind of like faded a little bit. I really kind of turned my brain on just disc golf. Obviously it was still kind of in the back of my head, but now, you know, not much is really changing. I'm just going to focus a little bit more and have one less thing to worry about, pretty much.
Good. Evan, I've left you in the corner for too long tonight. I do not want to do that with this interview if you have any questions, so be sure to speak up. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll say, Gannon, you played, you, Alden, and a few others played Masters Cup this weekend. It's not on tour this year. What was your reason to play an event that wasn't on tour?
Well, I was the defending champion, so I wanted to kind of come back and defend my title. I also saw the payout was even better than it was last year, even though it's only an A tier this year.
Oh, is that Isaac Robinson to our listeners? I think it's Isaac.
Who is it?
What's up?
We just need to do an exclusive contract deal with like the four of you, or however many it is now, 5 of you. It just keeps growing. Like, we will figure out some deal and you just come on our show every week because you guys are all winning. Alden, does Alden hear me, you think?
He left because him and Isaac are giggling outside.
Okay. So I wondered if my wife heard that Alden almost won, and she's like, even she's like in disc golf because we all are. She's like, if Alden won, that kind of would have fit, like, proven what's happening out there. Like, Gannon's winning majors, I was like, it's not a major, but I get what you're saying. So,
yeah.
Were you obviously you were, but like, rooting for Alden. You were like, come on, baby.
Yeah, I obviously love Greg and Alden both, but I have to say I was definitely going for Alden just because he's my best friend. And I just unfortunately had 2 like pretty easy forehand up shots, and he doesn't really throw many forehands, so he threw backhands on him, which kind of made the shot a little bit trickier. So he ended up missing a like 30-foot putt to win on the first hole of the playoff, pushed the second hole, and then had a very similar approach for the third hole of the playoff, and then hit a tree and was like 100 and something feet out. And then Greg made like a super sick, like 55, 60 footer uphill. It was one of the sickest moments I've been a part of, because it was, you know, I feel like for some reason, like when you think of Masters Cup, you think of Greg Barsby. Obviously, he got that forehand roller ace, which is just unreal. You have to be there to understand how like improbable that is. I'd say it's probably the most rare moment in disc golf in terms of just how difficult the shot was. It's just, I'd put it over the holy shot for sure. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like 100 times harder than that, I would feel like. So maybe even more. I don't understand how it's possible, especially when they played on Mach 3s back then with terrible baskets. So yeah, but it was fun, super fun cards the whole week. Final round was me, Alden, Jacob Blair, and James Proctor. So that was super fun. And my play was not the best. I had my worst round rated, I believe, in 4 years, other than when I had like a broken leg, basically. So, yeah, really, really bad round for me. It was a super weird round. I felt like I felt like I was throwing. I had one disc that I had been leaning on the whole week, and then for some reason, I don't know if I hit a rock or something, but like the bottom I think was a little bit scuffed, and it was like flipping over on me, and it was my stable disc, and it probably only cost me a couple strokes, but like my confidence was a little bit lower just with that disc, and I would throw pretty good shots that just would hit a tree and then end up like 90 feet away, and I just pitch it for par. Felt like that every single hole, and no birdies the final round for me, just 4 pokies. You know, at that point, I still saw the payout. It was a pretty solid payout. I don't even know if that round's going to stick on my rating, so I potentially could average the highest rated at that event of anybody. You know, it was a super weird final round just because no one played good. I think our card was like 7 over as a card, because I was 4 over, Jacob was 3 over, Proctor was even. Okay, Alden was 2 down, so we played like 5 over as a card. So just really weird day. I don't know. I feel like we all just like got some bad breaks, played terrible. It was just a weird day.
Yeah, I'm looking now, trying to look right now. Did you just say you had the highest average event rating, but you also shot one of your worst?
Dub, because the round doesn't count towards my rating.
Oh, okay.
I just think like average is like the highest technically, because it won't count towards my rating.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. That happened to Paul at Champions Cup last year. He ended up shooting like 1,000 rated round, like right at 1,000, and then he shot like 1090 the next round. So he that 1,000 didn't count, so he ended up averaging higher than anyone, I think.
Wow. Interesting that we're talking about ratings again, Evan. Ben,
would you look at that?
Ratings.
You love using ratings. Is that what you just said?
I think they're fun. They're just fun to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They're weird. There needs to be some. I feel like we're in a weird position because like at the same time I feel like they're not really like I'm trying to think, what was the tournament we played recently with terrible ratings? I mean, Champions Cup had like really terrible ratings. Where like 12 down at the Champions Cup was like a 1070 maybe on the dot ish, and then like 12 down at like Fountain Hills was like also a 1070, which is just unbelievable. Big Germ has definitely talked about introducing the bell curves, where you know once you get further under par, each stroke matters a little bit more. So you'd have those super like James Conrad even like 17 down at JomezPro. Now, obviously, we did no win, but that round is just insane. And to have that be like the same as like a 15 down at Fountain Hills is crazy. Yeah, I think the ratings are fun though, just because it's a somewhat accurate way. I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter if for the tour, because if all the tour players are playing the same events, we're all getting the same type of rating no matter what. It just depends how good you play. So
I will say this I'm glad you shared that. I think the way you talked about it, it's just easier to communicate with ratings, whether they are exact. again, we're not talking player ratings. I think that's a different conversation. Or for you to come out and say, oh, 12 down was rated 1,070, or hey, I shot my worst rated round ever. It was this, or I shot I can relate to that and understand how your play was. If you say, Matt, I shot 1,080, I'm like, I know how he played. I don't need to know if it was 1,082 or 1,075. I know how you played.
Yeah, you played pretty dang good. So
exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I like ratings for that aspect. Exactly. Like if I tell you my 8-year-old shot an 844 rated round this weekend, 8 years old, like you go, that's probably pretty good for an 8-year-old.
Pretty good.
So that's my point. But if I say, hey, he shot even or he shot plus, 7, you're like, what is that? But I say 844, you go, yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh,
so
my bad. I just shot my first 990 rated round. Here I come Pro Tour.
What? Oh, here I come Pro Tour.
He's Ben's got the distance at least for the Pro Tour.
Ooh.
Everything else, no. But the distance, baby. Let's go. The putting.
If you
I haven't seen the rest of your game. I've seen your backhand form. I haven't really seen it.
Hey, when you come to MVP Open, we'll record a video. Okay, I know you said you want to. We can do, and we'll have to play around.
So,
yes, for sure.
Yeah, I've got ideas. I was already thinking through this, like who we were gonna hit up. We're gonna do some extra content.
And, and we'll see you on Monday in studio, or else.
I mean, we'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh
Friday.
yeah, you're staying over, right? Yeah, Matt, that's still happening, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're
pizza every night.
One episode per night.
Pizza every night.
Oh, that'd be hilarious! An episode per night.
We'll just let them run the show.
Recaps. Like
I'll go upstairs and watch the show. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. That'd be cool.
Okay.
Do it up.
So you just dropped that news. That's why we started out with it. That you're staying with Prodigy. That was a pretty big news item for the disc golf world coming just in the beginning of the season. Now you're saying you're staying. The question's out there, and I don't know how you want to answer or don't. That's up to you. But what are the percentage chances that you're staying with Prodigy? Is that up in the air? Like at the end of the season? Or are you guys both like mutually like, you know what, we know it's over at the end of this? Like, where are you guys at with that?
Yeah, I mean, really, next year is just a clean slate for really anything to happen. So, I mean, literally anything can happen next year.
There you go. Evan, that percentage, that answer doesn't help your percentage guess. Evan was trying to guess percentages earlier.
We all try to guess percentages. Don't have to throw me under the bus.
No, it was Evan. He came up with the idea. No.
Yeah, solely me. But I wanted to hop into, Gannon, you're sitting number 2 in Disc Golf Pro Tour points right now. Do you have a set placing and points that you're aiming for this season? There's a new tour championship format with the starting stroke advantage. Is that anything you're worried about? Is it just playing your best each weekend? What's your kind of thoughts with that?
I obviously want to get number 1, but Calvin is just so good this season. It feels almost impossible to catch him. The only chance I feel like I'd have to catch him is if he just has like a 3 or 4 tournament stretch where he does really bad and I like do super, super good. But that's, you're obviously your top, I think it's top 8, like at least like Elite Series count towards your Pro Tour points. So, he's already had enough good ones where I don't think it would really matter. It'll come down to like the Elite Plus and the playoffs and the majors. So, yeah, I did a decent Champions Cup. I got my points. I ended up beating him at Champions Cup, but I'm not going to Europe, and then Worlds is my only other major. So, until obviously before USDGC. But I'm pretty happy with being second in Pro Tour standings after my really rough start to the season. I feel like I'm a little bit more informed now, and I feel, game felt okay last weekend. I just need to dial some things up. Probably my main goals for just to get to number 1 or whatever is really just to start off a tournament hot. I haven't really done that yet. I feel like at least that good where I'm on lead card after the first round, or I'm leading the tournament by a couple strokes after the first round. That's really my goal. I seem to play a lot better when I'm on the lead card or I'm ahead of everybody than I do if I'm trying to chase. Chasing is just sometimes a little bit difficult because you're pushing a little bit too hard, and then it'll bite you in the butt a little bit.
And we got this West Coast swing coming up. What event do you feel best for, that you have the best shot at taking down or the best finish?
Yeah, I feel really good about OTB in Portland. I guess those are really the only two. I mean, two big ones. Maybe I feel a little bit better at Portland just because there's like OTB's like the whole course is flat. Like there's no hills at all. There's nothing. Portland's got some hills, which I kind of like that aspect. It makes it a little more challenging sometimes. And I don't know. Although like wooded courses are a lot more fun for me, and it feels really good when you're on a wooded course. I seem to just play way better when I'm in the open because I feel like I'm like when I'm in the woods. Sometimes you feel like suffocated just by the gap, and you know, in the open, I feel like if you said throw a shot at that tree, that's you know, you like sometimes like especially me whenever I play like any course, I'll pick a tree in the background to throw at, even if it's like 2,000 feet away from me. I'll pick a tree at like the tip of it or something like that. Like I could hit that every time, but you put me in the woods, it's a little more stressful. So in the open, I seem to just execute my shots, and there's room to kind of move your disc within the airspace as long as you can get it to where the basket is. So there's a lot of placement golf. There's a lot of just do it however you can get to the basket the best, and obviously whoever does it the best and drives the best is probably going to win the tournament.
Yeah, so speaking of in the woods, Gannon, give me some insight. How do you hit gaps?
You should have asked Silas that question.
What's the key? Are you aiming at something? Like, dude.
I say aim at trees. That's the best way to hit a gap from what I've heard from most people is aim at a tree. So if I have a gap like 200 feet in front of me, personally, I like to aim at the left tree, and then I'll drag it over on an anhyzer that will come to flat. That's like the best way for me to hit a gap. So you throw
it at the tree. You heard it here first.
Throw it at the tree because it's, I don't know, I feel like you can get away with it more if you throw it at a tree. Especially if you throw a shot that you know is going to go straight. Like if you throw a flat line, if you have like two trees and you throw a flat line at the left tree with a flippy disc, like it can only go right. You're not going to miss the tree left unless you super miss your line. So that's my only piece of advice, pretty much.
Thank you.
Yep.
I needed it.
Yep.
Not bad.
I think you aim at the trees and you hit them.
I think I do. Yeah, I think the part where he said, he shanks it unless you shank the shot really badly. I think that's me. That I'm in that.
Yeah.
No, we're getting there. I'm getting better, but still hard out here.
All right. Gannon, you are throwing well. The Disc Golf Pro Tour, from my perspective, is just getting tougher. The players are getting better. And like, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but like Alden is doing incredible. For our listeners, it's pretty fun doing these interviews with cameras. You got to come on and check them out. Silas comes out and shoots well. Isaac does, like, and I mean this seriously. It's your group there, but like players are all coming out different weeks playing so well. It's hard to win anymore, but you're playing well. How would you rate your play? You said you felt good. You started out poor. You're happy with where you are. Are you going to be happy finishing in the top 5 or top 10 this year? Is that like a good win? Is that a win for you now?
I need to be top 3 to feel pretty good about my season.
Okay.
If I'm out, if I do worse than I did last year, I'm not going to feel good about it. I don't think I really ever was. We're like a third way through the season, and to be second feels pretty good. I know I have a couple guys like Kyle and Isaac on my tail. They've been playing really solid this year as well, especially recently with Isaac. Yeah, I think as long as I just do better than I did last season, I'm really looking for like 2 more wins. That'd feel nice, and especially if I can get one within one of these next 2 weeks, that'd feel amazing. That's definitely going to be a goal of mine. I can hopefully just kind of just play hole by hole. I mean, sometimes I get ahead of myself thinking like I need to get to the score of like, let's say like 9 down, and I'm 2 down with 9 holes left. I'm like, crap, I have to birdie 7 of the back 9 holes. In reality, I just need to play the hole by hole. I think I'll hopefully have a different mindset. Just stay calm this weekend at OTB, and hope everything goes well, I guess.
Yeah. Well, dude, like I said, from our perspective, you're doing great out there. A lot of players are. I just think it's getting tougher. Someone in our chat just said, we're going to see a 3rd card winner here at some point in the Pro Tour. It's just getting deeper and deeper.
We might see like a 5th card winner. There's been a couple times where 4th, 5th cards only like 3 or 4 back.
Well, I know it was the second round, but if James Conrad had done that in the third round, he was 6 cards back. So I mean, it is foreseeable. But that was a crazy round.
Yep. No, I mean, I was so happy to be. I was actually on his card that round.
That's right.
Crazy.
That's right. I forget if I had asked him. Who did I interview? I was asking somebody. Did they feel like, oh, it was Calvin, because he had shot like 13 down or what? 12. I think it was 13 down. And I said, did that feel like you left some out there, Calvin, after you saw a James round? How do you feel about that, Gannon? Do you feel like you're leaving some out there? Were you pushing pretty hard and it was just like, dude, that's incredible?
Yeah, JomezPro is a super weird course, especially with no wind, just because with wind, JomezPro is like a really difficult course. Especially, there's a couple of courses on tour that do that, like Des Moines for sure. If it has wind, it gets super difficult. JomezPro gets really difficult with wind. Obviously, every course gets a little bit more difficult, but when you have holes that if you have no wind and they're like basically must birdies at that point, I mean, 17 down is like, the course isn't too easy. It's just that, I mean, that's ridiculous. 17 down, and he played a hole for par. He played pretty much perfect. It was just a pleasure to watch. I definitely felt like I shot 10 down that round, and I was okay with it. I was like, that's a pretty okay, like, it's a pretty solid round. I was kind of playing for like 12 or 13, but 17 is just blowing everyone out of the water. He just like didn't miss a putt and didn't mess up.
Yeah, absolutely. He was excited about it. It looked like as excited as James would be about something.
Yeah.
I think you guys could have been more excited. You were more excited visually. That's awesome. That's really incredible. I think, is this true for you? If you're having fun and the people on your card are jiving well, do you think you play better? I mean, I feel like that's just a thing, but like, does that work for you?
Yes and no. Sometimes if the card's too laid back, you don't have that like killer drive, you know. Sometimes you feel like I feel like for myself at least, if I'm like on a final card last day, I'll shoot a lot better because I'm like, you have to push. And usually, you know, rounds are pretty relaxed.
Okay.
What? Like, oh yeah. Usually like rounds are pretty relaxed. And Alden just said like yesterday, yeah, we were like way too relaxed. We were like way too relaxed yesterday. But sometimes I feel like in a round 1 or round 2 it's cool, but round 3 like it almost is never relaxed. It's just like there's always intensity, and that I feel like it at least makes me play better if there's pressure.
Cool. My oldest son made his first lead card. It was an AM2, but he made his first lead card this weekend in the final round.
Nice.
And he was on his own, and I asked him how he was feeling. Fine. And then on the way home, he talks about, I started out like bogey, bogey, birdie, bogey. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, you know, just the lead card jitters.
I can just hear him say that. Oh my God.
And I'm like, dude, it's your first one. So his first one, he didn't know how to kind of deal with it, but there he did. So, anyways, we're glad to have you on. I'm sure you got a lot going on as well. Where are you guys traveling right now? Where are you at?
We're just about to go to a like team dinner kind of thing.
Oh, Taco Bell?
Probably. I had Taco Bell the last 2 mornings.
Mornings? Oh yeah, the breakfast burritos you said you enjoyed. Saw that.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Well, we've talked about it a few times, and I think even Silas mentioned Taco Bell when we had him on. Like, Taco Bell seems to be. Oh
yeah, he said you like won after you introduced him to he introduced you to Taco Bell or something like that.
No, I had Taco Bell before my final round at Austin with like a huge pop, and I won.
Okay, that's what it was.
We just ate Waffle House like 6 of the 7 mornings at Champions Cup.
Yeah, Taco Bell fuels you, I think, to a victory, or at least it can. So we'll see how that. I'm gonna go get Taco Bell after this. We'll see.
Let's go.
Maybe 2, maybe.
Awesome team dinner, and it's gonna feel good because you know everything's settled, and that's cool. And did you say pop a minute ago, like for the carbonated beverage?
It's pop. It's not soda.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same page there.
Definitely not Coke.
What does Alden say?
Yeah.
Do you say pop or soda or Coke?
Soda.
He says
pop is the
dumbest. Isaac Alden will say pop is stupid.
All right.
Gannon's from one of those corn states, right? Which one is it?
Iowa.
Nebraska. Missouri,
Iowa.
Which one?
I'm from Iowa. Wait, what was the question?
I'm just messing around. I'm sorry. I'm in a joking mood. But you just said pop, and like I had to go there. But I appreciate the different cultures of the United States. It's a cool thing, but it is weird.
It's wicked cool. Wicked cool. All right.
Well, to be fair, us New Englanders call sprinkles jimmies. Have you heard of that?
No.
You've never heard of that?
Let me specify. Rainbow.
Okay. Yes. Chocolate
is still sprinkles. Like rainbow, the candy you put on your ice cream, sprinkles. The chocolate.
I gotta stop you guys here. That's like you're not supposed to say that.
I don't even want to hear that
anymore.
That sounds so stupid.
It has like a bad historical connotation with it.
It does.
You should say sprinkles.
There's no
this
way.
Is what I grew up with.
I'm pretty sure it's like.
Don't make this something, Evan. Don't make this something. It's not.
I'm not making it something. I'm just trying to. We're on air live. Listening to people. I'm trying to save our butts right here.
Hey, listen, I'm saved because I've always called it sprinkles. So
me too.
I've never called it.
I would say,
other word.
Yeah, apparently it's not the other word, but I would say chocolate sprinkles or rainbow. That is what.
And New Zealand calls it hundreds and thousands, which I thought was pretty cool.
Okay, now that we got that out of the way,
tangent.
We can do a whole is it etymology? Is that a word origination? Etymology? I don't know. Long story short, what do you call the bugs that light up with their butts, Gannon?
Firefly.
Firefly.
Or lightning bug.
Or lightning bug?
I call them fireflies.
Firefly. Anybody else?
I don't know. Lightning bugs. I don't know. Oh.
Now who do we got? Isaac.
I think we gotta go.
Yep. Isaac, what do you call the bug that lights its butt? Like it flies around and lights it up. What is it?
Firefly.
Firefly. Okay. Comment in the chat.
Oh, I guess it is lightning bug.
I guess it is.
I'm just surprised Alden's foot hasn't made an appearance yet on the Nick and Matt show like last time.
That was my foot.
Oh, whose foot was it? It was Isaac's.
Yeah, so that was his foot for like the first 30 minutes, and then I put my foot in for 1 second, and then now everybody thinks it's me.
It was so funny. All right, you got to go. We're going to let you go.
Guys.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Have a good trip. Enjoy your dinner. Peace out.
All right, peace out.
All right. Wow. Well, Evan, if that's a thing, thanks for stopping us. And it probably is if you said it was.
I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, like
everything's a thing nowadays. I got to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, like there is that.
Idea.
Like everything is a thing nowadays. I am pretty sure though that one had some like bad history on reasons why it was called that originally. I honestly I can't remember enough about it of the why. But
I just figured someone named Jimmy like made those.
Yeah, right.
Sprinkles.
I just
like
I always
Jimmy's,
heard it like that.
Well,
yeah. We'll
no
have to look it up and
no offense
confirm
meant
it.
anybody. I'm sorry.
And if that's a word you use, maybe look it up real quick and see
Let's
the
look it
history.
up.
And if it is
Let's
okay,
look it
go
up.
I'm
for
looking
it.
up right now.
Don't let's not. No.
But seems like he might.
Sorry, I'm
be
coughing
onto
and all that,
something.
getting over allergies and sicknesses and everything else. But well, we made it towards the end of the show, but we got to do OTB picks. Well, is it? I can't just based off of odds. I don't feel like I can pick Calvin again. I can only pick him when he's gonna win, or else it's like bad picking him. So Simon did great here. Ricky usually does good here. Eagle performs okay here. Like, who's gonna win? Evan, give us your take.
Oh, I meant to pull up the recent winners, but okay. So notably, I mean, he hasn't been having the best season. Hasn't even finished top 5 yet. But Paul Macbeth is not playing. He's headed over to Europe to start his Euro Tour summer. Kristen Tatar is also not playing. I believe I don't know if she's missing the whole West Coast swing or if she's just missing this event, but she will not be there either.
Okay.
But yeah, of course, Simon Lizotte won last year along with Paige Pierce and FPO. In 2021, Eagle McMahon won with Paige Pierce and FPO. And then technically the event goes back to the San Francisco Open days, but totally different course. I don't think that's as notable, but I mean, like Paul and Ricky won then. And also I got to look around my screen, Katrina Helen and Sarah Hokum. So, but historically says Paige Pierce, I actually had to check if she's registered. She is registered. She is of course dealing with that injury. and missed JomezPro after dealing with it at Champions Cup. So it'll be interesting to see how she's feeling with that, if she's up to close to 100%, or if she's still dealing with that injury, or if she even plays at all. But 2-time defending champion, I think that says a lot. And with no Kristen Tatar, I think FPO is totally up in the air. I didn't even have a pick ready. I know my MPO pick, but I have no clue FPO. We got to figure this out.
I know. Can I just go my pick? I know what I'm going to do. It's all good. All heart. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows it. For me, I've guessed Isaac Robinson and Cat Merch back to back. So I'm going for that trifecta. And this is what I'm going to go with. I'm going MPO winner, Aaron Goose Gossage. Okay.
Let's go.
He's shown up 2 years ago. I think it was his breakout performance. No one heard who he was. And then last year he's finished really well here as well. Just coming off the 303 Open win. I think it's his time. I think he wants to make a statement like, hey, here to stay. I mean, he is already here to stay. He already made a statement. But after winning Worlds in a playoff, I think he's looking for that win. So I'm going
after
with
losing
Aaron.
Worlds in a playoff. To be clear,
that's what I meant.
I know you knew that. I just wanted to be clear.
Thank you. That is what I meant. So thank you. Sorry, I was talking to chat. I forgot I'm on live. Anyways, so FPO, I'm just gonna go with my gut and heart again, and pick one that I've been wanting to win for a while. That I've predicted for a while. Ella Hansen. She's a bomber. This is a bomber course. I think if she can just kind of hit her lines and not go too bomber, like I feel like sometimes even me, I know I can throw further than most people, and sometimes it makes me want to go off, and then I just shank it way too far. So if she can control her bombs and actually get in good positions, I think she has a really good chance. Because you know she's been up in the contention for a long time now, and I think she has what it takes to take it home.
Okay.
Matt, you ready, or you want me to go for it?
No, I'm ready, but I'm still thinking about this sprinkle thing because the chat is going wild over it. And someone's like, in 1930s, a worker named James worked a machine that made them, calling them Jimmies. No, so like, and I looked it up on Wikipedia, and all I'm seeing is like candy makers, like, but I don't know why they called it Jimmy's, but it was named after the worker who made them. I don't know. Maybe there is negative. And if that's the case, in all seriousness, I do not mean any offense by it. I will look into it and I'll make sure that I'm good with it. But like, just in general, I'm like, man, there's something missing here. I'll have to research it more. My picks are Anthony Barella. That's
good pick.
I feel like that could be a thing. If he wins, I'll be ecstatic, of course. Katrina Allen, I don't feel like she's gonna show up for this one, although she could. We said Paige isn't back for this, probably, or she is.
She is.
It's uncertain. She is currently registered, but she's of course dealing with the injury, I believe, in her shoulder.
Ella Hansen is gonna make a push. I'm not sure if she'll finish it out. I'm gonna make another pick and say Ella Hansen. Those are pretty. Almost.
Wow.
Yeah, those are wide. Like Anthony
Two
Barella,
Ella Hansens has never won a pro tour in her career. We got two people saying it.
Not just Ben. I wasn't even here.
That makes sense.
Sorry, Ella Hansen.
You can go for it. I don't care.
Okay. I'm still feeling this out, but I think I know who I'm going to pick in FPO. But I will say it was interesting. Last year we had the battle between Paige Pierce and Natalie Ryan. Paige Pierce battling the injury, Natalie Ryan, of course, with the ruling over the offseason and litigation, and that'll be confusing. But Juliana Korver came in third, and Ella Hansen was tied for fourth. I think I'm going to go similar to Ella Hansen,
Holland Hanley,
friend or best friend, but Holland Hanley. She's been playing so well this year. She's tied for second in Disc Golf Pro Tour points. I think she's more on the cusp than Ella Hansen has been lately, but not that Ella Hansen's a bad pick or couldn't do it. Just it feels like Hanley's been a little bit closer throughout this. Well, okay, I mean Waco happened too, but besides Waco throughout the general, I'm just looking dumb here. I'll hop up over to MPO.
This man's dying.
You guys get what I'm saying, though. Yes. I just totally blanked over Waco, though, so it kind of ruined my whole point. I'm gonna go with the hot hand in MPO, who won here in the past. Eagle McMahon. the course has gone through changes. It'll go through a few more changes for this year, a few new holes, maybe change up OB, and it went through a lot of changes into 2022 compared to when he won in 2021. But I think it sets up really well to him. He's played well in the woods, played well in the open. He looks like he's got everything dialed. It's just a matter about actually getting it. So I'm going Eagle Man. I do think it's crazy how none of us are picking Calvin Heimberg, but that's how it goes sometimes. As we always say, there's so many good names right now. I think this event's going to be really, really interesting. I'm stoked for it because I think MPO is so open as it's been all season. But there's a lot of interesting things that can come from this. And I think FPO will be really, really interesting with Kristen Tatar taking the week off and Paige Pierce potentially battling an injury. We saw that last week now at Jonesboro with Kat Merchant, Haley King, and Aria Castorita up in the leaderboard, and it was a lot of newer names for this season. Of course, we've seen Haley King in the past, and Kat Merchant's been up there before, but actually seeing it going for the win, it was very, very exciting to see fresh names. I think it's going to be a similar situation here at OTB Open.
Yeah, Haley King,
she was on my mind.
She can go off. Maybe this would be it. I don't see her closing this one out. Not that I can't see her doing it, but this is not the one I'm picking her at. Give me a little bit more.
She finished 23rd here last year, which is pretty surprising.
Yes.
Of course, we don't know what was going through. I mean, there's I think a lot of mental off the course.
I was just gonna say there was a lot more happening.
But Matt, I think I'm with you that, we picked Ella Hansen and Holland Hanley, so maybe it's hard to say this, but for a player like Haley King who has closed it out, but I feel like we need to see Haley King close it out before we make her as a pick. But that is crazy to say because we haven't seen Holland Hanley do it and we haven't seen Ella Hansen do it yet either. So I don't think that's fair to us to say, but I think there is some truth to it. But I think we're all going out on a limb picking our picks in FBO.
I agree. And yeah. Anyways, we need to do a better job here at the Nick and Matt Show
track of them, yeah.
Every pick or take or anything that we're predicting
today.
Just a spreadsheet.
We have an intern, and
no, Evan, you're the stat guy. You do it.
No, you're the
Ben
intern.
Can do it.
What?
At the end,
Ben can do it.
At the end of the year, we could really look through whether it was wins. We can have a win category, when someone was predicting who would win. That's a whole section, but then just general takes, will Gannon Buhr stay with Prodigy? We want to keep track. How are these takes unfolding? Who made them? What day? All that kind of stuff. That'd be kind of fun. We did make it to the end of the show.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, Ben.
I throw you under the bus, but I do have to give thanks because you do a wonderful job, Ben.
Yes,
thanks. I guess I'm the stat guy now.
Let's go.
He's a little statellite.
I'm a satellite. Yo, sign me up. Actually, how about you? I acquire you and you give me stake in your company for no reason.
What? Okay.
Deal. Evan's
just frozen. Literally frozen.
No, I'm being silent intentionally. I thought I dropped for a second.
What? I thought you were faking dropping.
No, I was faking dropping.
Oh. All right, so I have stake in Statman though, is what I'm here. Anyways.
All right. Again, anything we say on the show does not reflect the intentions of the Nick and Matt Show brand. No, remember when you were growing up, did you ever hear that on the radio? The shows that would be on a radio channel, they're the thoughts and opinions of those talking do not reflect necessarily though. I feel that way. Again, I will say one last time. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because that's how much it affects me. Even if it's not intentional, we can all learn from things. So if that's the case, we will learn from it. I'm glad you called it out if it's a thing, Evan, because that's the way it should be.
If I am wrong about sprinkles and it's there's no negative connotation to it, and it is okay to say that I'm sorry for making you worried about it to you, Matt, and everyone else.
So what I've been finding is there's no direct correlation. There's no evidence but some people do think it's racist. So at the end of the day, even if some people
think it's questionable, I don't mind calling it sprinkles. In fact, to be fair, we both call it sprinkles. It was just we knew. Yeah. It's like saying, one last etymology thing, because we've already touched on that. We apologize if that's a thing, and seriously, we'll learn from it. But what do you call I'm trying to think how to say this. I want to say a water machine, but the one where you push the button on the front or the top, and it's like a metal fixture on the wall. Okay.
Bubbler.
Oh, Ben says it's a bubbler.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I'm not New England enough for this. I say water fountain.
Water fountain.
Yeah.
If you're really New England, it's bubbler.
That's true. It's interesting to see like where you grow up and how actually like, you know, Boston or New England you are. Like I grew up in Southern New Hampshire where it feels like it kind of is like, I mean, it's obviously very much New England, suburb of Boston, like deep suburb of Boston, but like you didn't get the true New England ones. Like, you know, you say Wicked and
yeah, it's Wicked.
Didn't have the accent. You know, you get a few of the other things wrong, but like, I mean, you have Fluffernutters, but
Fluffernutter.
Yeah, apparently Fluff is like the only up here, which is weird.
Well, no, there's marshmallow cream or like marshmallow whipped, like whatever you want to. Again, what do you call it? The marshmallow like topping is different. In New England, they make something called marshmallow fluff, and it is not the same as like Jet Puff. Oh, that's it, Jet Puff. I think it's not the same. So.
Yeah, it's like a. I don't know if it's a local company or not. What's the big marshmallow brand?
The local
has theirs.
Marshmallow Fluff. Yeah, it's out of like.
Yeah, but if you go anywhere in the U.S., you can still buy the same type of thing, but it's called something different. It's very hard to find because I remember I wanted that when I was out in Colorado. I was like, you know what? I want to see if I can make peanut butter and fluff out here.
Yes,
a great cheap college lunch or dinner. I need to get that. I need to have that soon. I mean,
what did I have? What did I have at the tournament this week, Ben?
Yeah, you had a peanut butter and fluff sandwich
at the tournament. We had a little package of them we made.
Nice.
You want to take it to the next level? You got to take now we're just off. This is like the after show.
Yeah, this is the Patreon only version.
Everyone gets the free Patreon tonight. They're like, really? Is there a Patreon? And yes,
there will be. The intern will work on it.
Okay.
So thank you.
Take your peanut butter. And by the way, now let's get this one solved, and I'll come back to this. Chunky or creamy peanut butter? Like just generally. I'm not talking
chunky
specific.
All day.
Really?
All the way.
I am a total
Crunchy.
cream guy.
I feel like a kid if I'm having cream. Not that it's bad to have cream, but like it just feels chunky.
Okay, so all right, we settled.
It tastes so much better.
I am definitely the like cream, man. Jif, whatever, cream. So, do you get like extra chunky? Now I'm stuck on this. This is like that extra super chunky.
I go extra chunky.
Okay. Chunk is good.
Extra chunky, the chunkiest. Yeah.
Okay, so
if they got extra chunky, I would be interested.
Okay,
I just like the crunch.
Just like saying chunky. Okay, you take syrup. Now, syrup, whatever you want to call it. It could be maple or it could be your off-the-shelf generic syrup. You just pour it in there and do it as much as you want. You taste it, but mix it in. It gives a little different texture. But man, you put that with your Fluffernut or your peanut butter and fluff, and it is next level. Like, yeah, that's my favorite. You can tell.
Yeah, I've never done that. I'm gonna try this. I went to the grocery store today for the week. I'm going back. I'm getting some fluff.
and it's on white bread. You don't do it on like wheat, right? Or you do?
I mean, I'll do it on whatever. I mean, Fluffernutters historically are on white bread, yeah. Okay. But like, I'm trying to be a little bit healthy. If I'm going for this, I'm already going crazy sugary fluff. I gotta be like, all right, I'll go some, nice wheat bread or something.
Okay. Let's keep going just a little bit more here. So now let's talk about like chunky or not. We're talking about water bubblers, fountain, or it's not water bubbler, it's a bubbler. And then there's water fountains, lightning bugs versus what did he say? Fireflies. We don't say fireflies here. It's lightning bugs.
Really? Yes, we do. I say firefly.
No. The thing is, like, I don't know the insect as like a fire. Like when I see it, I'm like, oh, it's a lightning bug. But like when you say firefly, I know what it is. I almost think that they're like different things, but they are the same. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
Like I totally understand what it is, but I feel like Firefly is more like it feels more like a fantasy almost. Obviously, it's very much real insect.
Yeah, I think those are the two most popular. But now let's talk about orange juice. Pulp, extra pulp, no pulp.
I like pulp. I'm a pulp guy.
I'm a pulp guy, but I go light pulp.
Wow.
If I can.
I'm a pulp. Okay. I could go straight pulp.
Like the extra pulp. Like that's like we're finding out who we are tonight on the show. I am I think my preference would be no pulp, but there's something about, I guess, a little bit. Like, it's enjoyable. But now, again, you want to go to the next level?
Yep.
I always give you the next level. Have you ever get that orange juice just barely frozen? I'm talking like slush orange juice. That it's not an orange Julius, but it's so good. So like, just put it in the freezer till you get that like ice chunks in there. You shake it up. It is really good.
All right,
next level orange juice.
So what do you guys call sandwiches? As in like
I don't say Sammy's.
Footlongs.
Oh, okay.
Grinder, hoagie, subs.
Yeah, so you go to the sandwich store and they make you one that's in a long, we'll say a roll or a piece of bread, right? Yeah. What do you call that?
I call it grinder.
I do.
That's offensive, Ben. No, I'm just messing.
I think I go hoagie. I don't.
Whoa.
No,
Do I? I don't know.
That's cap. You're just trying to be like different now. That is.
I think
a
I do.
lie.
I'm trying to
You're just trying to be alternative.
I feel like hoagie and sub are interchangeable. I never went grinder, although like you would see a pizza restaurant that'd be like pizza and grinders, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that sounds great. I want a grinder.
I want a hoagie. Nice.
You do not say hoagie. I know.
But the thing is,
don't.
hoagie and sub, like a hoagie is clearly like lunch meat sub, where like a sub can be anything. It can be a cheesesteak sub, or it could be a meatball sub, or it can be a lot of other things. And I think like grinders are like an Italian sub. So it's generally like
you
meatball
classify
or like
them. That's interesting.
Right?
They're different
Well,
things
like,
to you.
When it's a grinder, it's always with a pizza shop, right?
I don't have that classification.
That I guess because I call like my tuna. I call them. I had a tuna grinder today. I call them tuna grinders. But if I have like a chicken bacon ranch, I just call it chicken bacon ranch.
See,
I don't call it a sub though. I don't call it a sub. I call it a sandwich or a grinder.
So you are. Yeah, you are. You do go like any sub or any hoagie is a grinder to you.
Yeah, I don't
if
call
you call
it
it
a
a tuna
though.
grinder. Yeah. No. Yeah.
I think we're unless the chat has one.
Give us more chat.
We'll take one more. We'll take one more. Oh, how about what you wear on your feet? This is probably not that crazy. Like
shoes.
Just shoes. Like they're all like just shoes to you.
Tennis shoes. Are you like sneakers?
Tennis shoes, sneakers. I guess that's it. Or do you just call them shoes? Yeah. I just call them shoes.
I just call them shoes. Like I if I say tennis shoes, it's like rare, or running shoes to like specify. But like it's rare.
Okay.
And I like barely ever go sneakers, but like you sometimes, but not really.
Okay. How about what I'm wearing on my head and you're wearing on your head? Is it just a hat, or is it a cap, or is it like a baseball
Evan
hat?
capped about hoagie, but it's a hat.
Yeah, I'll go hat. I'll sometimes say baseball hat, even though I wouldn't call what any of us are wearing a baseball hat, because I think I mean I can't tell what Ben's exactly wearing, but me and Matt have
actually
like trucker hats on.
Actually, what I'm exactly wearing is the official baseball hat of the MLB New Era.
Whoa.
So.
Oh, it is. Okay, cool. It was hard to see. Yeah, so that would be a baseball hat.
Tonight we just have our presenting sponsor, Cosmic DG. Thank you to them. I'm wearing their hat, and frankly, I don't care what brand it is, but it looks cool, so I wear it. So thank you to them. Check out Cosmic again. We appreciate their support for this episode and this month's episode. So I think there was one other. What you push around in the store and put your groceries in?
Shopping cart.
Okay, is that it? There's no other option. Buggy.
I like
carriage.
Can't even think. Oh, carrot. You could. Okay, people call it carriage, but that's it's shopping cart.
Shopping cart. Go get a carriage. I can see myself telling a kid to go get a carriage. I could definitely hear myself doing that, but I think shopping cart is what I would say if someone asked me.
Yeah, you said buggy? Like what?
Dude, I think I saw that on social media this week. They're like, hey, where we're from, we call them buggies. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe the ones with like race car fronts for kids to hang out in.
Dude, how long could this go on for? Like also at the grocery store, and I think I can hear my grandmother saying this. They put your food in after you check out. Is it just a straight, what is it?
What? Bag?
Yeah, okay, it's just a bag. Is that it?
You're thinking like
plastic bag?
Tote?
No, like I think my grandmother will say it's a sack. But I don't know, like, I'm just saying, like, I don't know how many other people that are listening distance to this show right now are like, yeah, it's a sack. I don't know. But like, yeah. Any others? Chat, last one.
Yeah,
last
I think we touched all the main ones because I'm even looking online. Flip flops versus sandals. I call them. I mean, it depends. That's a little different. Flip flops are the ones in between the toes. Sandals are without the.
Yeah, that's agreed. Easy. Next.
Easy. Boom. Next. So I looked up all the main ones. There's not really much else. That's like
all right.
Too big.
Yeah. Well, we might have missed one. I'm sure there's some pretty funny ones out there. Like, you call it what? Like, if you go to like the UK, you hear some really funny things. Well, like if I'm razzing you, Evan, in the UK, it'd be called taking the piss out of you. Like, I was taking the piss out of him. And like, I remember like sitting down with someone at some corporate, like we were traveling somewhere. I was in Texas and he was from the UK. And he's like, you're taking the piss out of him. And I'm like, what did you just say?
I was like, ugh.
And it's like, so there's definitely like different things around the world. But as far as the US goes, I'm sure there's dinner or supper. Is that dinner. To me, that's what you were saying, Evan, about like grinders and subs. Like, it's different things. To me, dinner is more of a formal meal, sit down. Usually it's like it could be a Sunday like lunch hour, but it could be a dinner if it's like formalized. Supper to me is your regular weekly evening meal. Like, that's supper. That's what I call it.
So I get part one. I just never call anything supper. I don't like it.
Wow.
I don't either.
Everything's dinner for you guys?
Dinner.
I think it's just like a historical term. Like, you understand what it means, obviously, but you just don't use it.
Okay.
So last
one.
I can do one more. Yeah. And this is with pronunciation with New Englanders. Is it crayons, or crayons? I say crayons.
Like the coloring utensil that's made from wax.
Crayons. Like Paul Crayons.
Okay.
Yeah. What's that?
My sister growing up would say crowns. Like what a king would put on his head, a crown. She would say crowns.
Crayons.
I grew up saying crayons.
Right? Yeah. Okay. That's what I was saying.
Definitely crayons. Just take out that O. But maybe take out the Y. I don't know.
Does anybody say crayons?
Dude, people are gonna think we're crazy for saying crayons, but I don't know. I think it's
crayons. No, I've heard of that. I actually have one
colors.
Because
colors. I saw some in chat. Definitely, I've heard of them called colors. I'm using colors.
Called colors.
I've never heard.
I have heard of it before. I don't remember how far back that was, but I just saw.
I feel like crayons is gonna be our biggest outlier amongst the chat.
Oh yeah, crayons. Everyone's saying crayons. Someone said crayons.
I mean, okay, there's caramel and caramel, but like, I mean, we could do that one. But the one, because I use them interchangeably. I mean, same with like data and data. I don't have one I use, but the kind of like M&M like peanut butter ones, not M&M.
Okay, we had this conversation with my kids this week.
I don't understand.
And he's like, "Why do people say Reese's Pieces?" And that's what Tanner asked me.
You say pieces as pieces, like we're so uncivilized.
Wait, it is Reese's Pieces.
Hold on,
that's funny.
So Ben says Reese's. You say Reese's.
I say Reese's Pieces, but I never thought about it as Reese's Pieces. I didn't think that was a thing. I didn't realize that was actually what it was called.
Isn't it so obvious? But after you learn it,
yeah, I've called it Reese's Pieces. Reese's Pieces.
I still say Reese's Pieces.
Yo, I never realized that.
So you both say Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I say Reese's Pieces. That's what I say. I don't even say Reese's. No. I say Reese's. So I don't know.
Pronounce iron.
I believe you should. Yeah. Iron. Which like it's not a New England thing. It's like it's more of the country just says it wrong. But I have said it to people or like heard them say Reese's Pieces, and I'm just like,
it's what is it? It's called something like the butterfly something, or it's like the Berens. It's not the Bernstein Bears. It's actually the Berenstein. It's everyone has just thought it was that.
My last name is technically Graham. If you've all been saying Graham like the cracker, but like I don't correct people, and I don't know if it
the Mandela effect is what we're talking about. I think, kind of.
In closing out, this is what happened when Nick's not here. But remember when we had on Chef Andrew Zimmern, celebrity chef? I think our possibly most famous interview we've ever had. We asked him the difference between, we're like, is it caramel or caramel, right? And then he went off on this, well, what are you doing with it? So it matters in that scenario. And I think most of these words, it can matter. Yeah, he's like, are you making onions? Are you caramelizing them? Or are you caramelizing them, right? Like, I don't know. And that was pretty fun. He was razzing Nick pretty hard on a few things there.
That was good. He was, I liked his like humor and just how he was. It was a good time.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we made it to the end of the show, and we gave everybody an extra 25 minutes of maybe nonsense. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We made it to this point in the show. Nick usually tells you to tell someone you love them. Kind of doing that for him. Obviously, people that are affected with the loss of JB in the disc golf world. If you knew him, if you didn't know him, just a reminder: people just always demonstrate care. This goes back to something I said really early on. You can disagree with someone, but make sure they know you care about them. That's all I would say with that. And do that to somebody this week. Let people know you care. But we made it to that point in the show. I guess I'm supposed to hit the music and get it to close out. Are you going to do a little singing for us?
Oh, yeah, sure.
All right, people love it.
Oh, this is for especially Buddy. There's this one guy. It's a Nick and Matt show. Everybody got to go to the Nick and Matt show. Bring all your friends and pals. And bring all your gals.
All right, there you go. It's the Nick and Matt show. Ben, you're awesome. Evan, you're awesome. Nick, hope you had safe travels. Good luck, and we'll catch you all next week. Peace out, everybody.
The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find the Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.